get it somewhere.
Hi, and welcome to the September 11th meeting of the Historic District Commission. We have a slightly smaller group today, but we're good with having quorum numbers. I'll introduce everyone. To my right is Dan Brown.
Good evening.
Vice Chair Margot Doring.
Hello.
I'm Chair Reagan Rudig. We have Isaac Gilbo from the Planning Department.
Good evening.
John Wyckoff.
Good evening.
Rich Blaylock, our City Council representative.
Good evening.
And David Adams.
Good evening.
So the board's action in these matters has been deemed to be quasi-judicial in nature. If any person believes any member of the board has a conflict of interest, that issue should be raised at this point or it will be deemed waived. All right, we have 3 sets of long minutes to approve. Does anybody have any changes? I had one quick change. Does anybody else have any edits or comments on the
Minutes.
All right. My only one was for the August 7th minutes on page 5. It's in the middle of that second paragraph. It says, Chair Rudig said she was concerned that everything on the exterior was replaced. It would look new and joints would be seen to make it apparent that it was historic material. So it wasn't historic material is what my point was. Anybody else? All right. Was anybody recused? Can everybody vote on all 3 of these? Cool.
So, for administrative,
This is just
Oh,
the
for the minutes?
minutes. Yep. Okay. Can I have a vote a motion to approve these?
so moved.
Seconded.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Okay. We'll get on to our administrative approvals. I know that Dr. Brown has to recuse himself from Pickering Avenue.
Okay.
Anybody else? Any other recusals from this? I will let Isaac lead us through all of these.
All right, 1 second. I'm just going to share my screen quickly.
Do we want to just go ahead and start with Pickering Avenue, and then we can vote on that without Dr. Brown, and then we'll be
That
good
would
to
be
go.
a good idea.
Okay.
So, administrative approval item number 341 Pickering Avenue. The applicant is seeking approval for the renovation and an upgrade to the existing dock and pier structure that is there. In the existing photo, you can see that there's currently a gangway out to a long float with a perpendicular float at the end. And the new proposed renovations would include a second gangway to a secondary proposed float. This has been approved by the Portsmouth Conservation Commission, Planning Board, and also NHDES. The reason mainly why it's before us tonight, if anyone has questions, it's simply a structure that does attach and affix itself to land, and that is in the historic district. So.
Okay. Great. Any questions or comments on this? All right. I will go ahead and get a motion to approve this.
I'll move that we approve 41 Pickering Avenue.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Dr. Brown, you can vote again.
All right. I will start off then with item number 1, 276 Maplewood Avenue. The applicant was here before us last month for a fence replacement project. They are proposing to replace an existing chain link fence with a new chain link fence in the same location, same size. They are also proposing to install a new vinyl fence that would be closer to the road frontage side. And I do believe that we might have the applicant on Zoom right now. So if there were any questions, this is still the same application that was before us. They might be able to provide some more context to their decisions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Comments?
So is the person here?
Raphael, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, John.
All right, so have you considered your fence on Maplewood Avenue to be exactly the same, but be a wooden fence?
Yes, we do have a backup option for, I guess, a wooden stockade fence
Yes.
or cedar.
So you think this would be more appropriate, is what you're saying?
I think it would be very appropriate for that.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And the chain link fence is very hard to see.
Yeah.
It's parallel to Maple, so you're not going to see it. And along Dearborn, it's pretty parallel too. So I think if they can change the wood and one of our approved wooden fences, I think that would look very nice. They're doing it for noise control and also to keep the dogs in.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this is a solid, pretty solid fence. It's not a picket fence, it's the solid one. You show the sample of it. And I'm assuming that the height is in keeping with the code that's required for that location?
That'd be correct.
Yep, okay.
Pretty solid.
Anybody? 5 feet?
Oh, actually, Raphael, while I have you here, I will clarify with you tomorrow. The vinyl fence that we're kind of proposing to be wood, which would be more appropriate, may actually need to come down to a 4-foot height. So let me just take another look at that and get back to you tomorrow morning.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, I could support a wooden fence, but not vinyl.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Okay. Okay, great. So we'll move right on to administrative approval, item number 2, which is 100 High Street. This project was before the commission, I want to say maybe about 1.5 or 2 years ago. It's for an installation of mechanical equipment on the rooftop of the building. When the applicant was here, there was discussion from the commission. The original plans that were submitted showed the electrical equipment to be much closer to the edge or the sides of the building. Throughout the public hearing, the commission had asked the applicant to move those back pretty substantially, in some cases up to 10 to 13 feet, which would really decrease the amount of visibility that's there. What happened was when they submitted all of the plans for the building permit, they unfortunately submitted the original plans that we had before us before our discussion and not a revised set. Therefore, what was installed is that original plan set that we did not actually approve. They are here asking that we approve the current location and that we do not ask them to move those back.
Any thoughts, questions? Yes, Dr. Brown?
The two end ones I could get over because they're not very visible. But the middle one is right on the bank of the curvature. It's hanging over the roof like the Brazilian Jesus almost. I can't, and so visible from the garage, so visible from both streets, like that one has to be moved back, I think.
I also would like to say I do have the applicant on Zoom as well. So if we have any questions or if would like any further explanation or if they can clarify, I'll allow them to speak at this time.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you for reviewing this today. Again, apologies that this happened in the first place. It is my mistake, so I do apologize on behalf of the installation. I actually visited the site. I do understand what the gentleman just said. The one sector does need to be pulled back. That one is very close. But I believe if we paint to match the other two sectors, I think that the visibility will be diminished. And so that's basically what we're asking for today. I do understand that one needs to be pulled back, but the other two we're hoping that we can keep in that spot if you do approve it today. If not, we understand.
Great. Yes, John?
So in the spirit of compromise, I'm all in support of that.
Okay. Thank you. Do we need to specify how far it needs to be moved back or just to meet the approved plans?
I would say for the corner one in particular, that we would specify that it meets the originally approved plans.
Okay.
Understood.
All right.
So I guess there's 4 there. Just to be clear, I'm talking about the one at the curvature.
Good corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
This is becoming a monthly automatic asking for apologies after the fact type of thing.
It happens.
We need a little more communication
I do
between
apologize.
builders and.
Yeah, it was just one miss of a button, and so
Right.
again,
Yes.
I fall on my sword here.
No, we're it happens more often than this, so not just you. But thank you.
Okay. All right. We will move right along then to administrative approval. Item number 4, which is 300 Court Street. Let me just get that a little bit larger on the screen. The applicant here is seeking approval for the installation of an aluminum gutter and downspouts in the highlighted red area. So this is the side rear portion of the building. The need for this has come as there have been several large trees and other vegetation kind of removed from that area. So they are experiencing some advanced water infiltration in the basement. The gutters would, of course, help at least remove any water from their immediate roof out of there. So they are asking for the one side, and we do have. So they did not provide a spec of the gutter, but I do know it is to be an aluminum case style.
And it'll be either colored or painted to match.
That's correct. Yes, I've already had that conversation with the applicant. They are happy to match the trim work at the top and then also going sort of down the sides.
It's white.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Any questions? Good?
Okay.
All right.
Item number 5 is 104 Gates Street, and the applicant is seeking the approval to install the proposed sort of aluminum gate here, which would just sort of block off a portion of their driveway. And then this is exactly where the baby gate is located, is where their fence would go.
And it will be the same as the existing one that it is.
Neighbors.
Yes, that is correct. They're going to use the exact same as the neighbor's fence, which is right there on the right-hand side in the photo. Any further questions on 104 Gates?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. That would bring us to item number 6, which is 21 South Street, unit number 4. The applicant is seeking approval for the installation of an aluminum or metal storm door. The reason being is the applicant has had several wood storm doors in the past. Just due to the location of the property, it gets pretty damaged during both winter weather events and just from the salty air as well. So they are proposing the metal storm door so that it will have a little bit more longevity. They are proposing, this is the sample of the storm door. They would do, I believe, planning to do a black surround.
Any questions,
Comments.
comments on this one?
Well, I'm sympathetic to their problem with their wooden storm doors. If it is indeed prevailing winds or whatever, I mean, they catch these big full glass aluminum doors also. And I don't care what they're made of, once they bend backwards and ruin the hinges, pull the hinges out, you know, I'm just saying, it's not a perfect world. Good luck.
I think to that point, Mr. Wyckoff, that this is the sort of door that has its built-in hinge jamb that's applied to the surface. I don't think it's as mortised hinges as you're referring to. My comment, similar in concern over the installation, though, the jamb of this door is extremely thin. The applicant should make sure that the door is going to fit, or they'll have to at least take their knocker off their existing door. 'Cause I can touch the knocker through the screening of the current door. It's tight. Anyway, it could be a problem. Anyway.
Yep, their problem.
The applicant is here. If anyone has further questions or clarify anything.
Just for this crew, is there other metal storm doors or just aluminum? Anything stronger than aluminum?
Well, that's not the point.
Okay.
It's the look of it.
Yeah.
So you'll bend it when they bend in this? Or there is a,
This type of, from what I see of the cut sheets, this type of door is connected in almost continuously on the hinge side.
Okay.
It's not like those single. Back in the day, we used these little 2.5 by 2.5 screen hinges, and they would blow right off. Basically, they're just doorway ruining devices. But things have changed. This is surface mounted. It will be secure. I'm sure the door will survive as long as they wish, except I still think that they're going to have a problem fitting it.
Sure, please
Sure.
come to the
You know-
podium. Yes.
She doesn't need to speak.
I mean, you don't really need to say anything. It's just concern about your door surround.
I understand. I've thought a lot about this. When we first
Intro-
arrived.
Sorry, introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm
Just-
sorry. I'm Ellen Ronca, the owner of the condo.
Thank you.
It used to be a metal storm door before I replaced it twice with wood doors. And I think that was just because it wasn't, I don't remember why we replaced it, honestly. But the concern now, there's the hinge issue, but that's going to be the case no matter what storm door I put there. The advice I've gotten from all the carpenters is that wood is just heavier than this aluminum, and so then it between the weight of the glass and the weight of the wood, and if I was going to do it, I was going to have to do it in mahogany, which is even heavier than pine. Then it just pulls apart the joints of the wood easier, which is why I've had to replace it a couple times since the original one. So that was the reason for the metal. This was the best quality that I could find. And as for it being able to close, I have had glass in exactly this door that's, very sad right now. And it doesn't hit that knocker.
That's
so
great.
No problem with that.
Okay.
And then also another possible place where you could have problems is the actual hardware, the handle on the storm door hitting the handle on your wooden door.
I appreciate your
Just saying that.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that because when I was shopping for the hardware, the inside had the option of the handle that kind of comes out, or the small one that just, kind of like, it looks more like a little thumb.
Yeah.
And I was going to go with that just for that reason. But again, there's currently one there, and it hasn't been a problem. They said they're all going to take out the current frame and replace the frame that comes with the door. So
Okay.
I don't think there's going to be. I've had several people look at it.
Thank you. And
Many.
Good luck. Thank you and good luck.
Thanks. All right.
All right. That will bring us to item number 7, which is 342 Islington Street. The applicant here, they are going to be doing a full just asphalt roof replacement, so that's in kind, which is exempt. However, what they are proposing is to actually replace the trim work around these upper windows on the mansard part of the roof with a PVC material. At the current time, there's a lot of water damage that is coming in. There's a lot of rot in those areas. And so with the new roof, they are hoping to be able to swap out the material of that for longevity.
Any questions? Yes.
Their goal is to match every trim detail that is there. So,
That's my comment.
okay.
I have no problem with PVC up on the third floor, but it has to match what's there. What you've got here is a very nice French Empire style 1880 house with quite elaborate trim on the side of the windows. So we'll be looking at it. I can support it.
Dr. Brown?
Yeah, will they be replacing just the windows, you're saying? Or the top, or the bottom, or the dental, or
The trim surrounds of
Just
the
around the
windows, from what I understand.
All of the pieces.
But yes, all of the pieces. Yeah, the windows will remain.
Yes.
Is that including the small dental work above the windows?
Yeah.
That looks really detailed.
Yes, that would include all of the upper detail as well.
Oh, really?
Wow.
don't know why they're doing that.
I think this is going to be a very difficult thing to replicate in
Yeah.
PVC. I would be more,
Good luck.
I think, willing to accept maybe the pieces directly underneath, just the
Let's not redesign it for them.
no, but
Administrative approval.
it is. But just the surrounding, the sides or the pieces that are actually touching roof and drip edge. Yes, Mr. Adams? No?
I don't know what to say.
No.
I don't know what to say. Honestly, prepare to be disappointed. I've never been able to tackle anything like this with an alternate material. I don't know. I'm sure technically it can be done.
Yeah, it can be.
Is there anyone in the audience who could speak to this application? I know it is admin, so they're not
Right.
required
Sure.
to. But okay.
So just so that I'm clear, just so the heading says roof trim, which I take to mean the fascia boards and things running across, not the dental molding and the corbels and all the other stuff. But are they literally talking about everything in white above and below the mansard portion of the roof?
That is correct. I did have confirmation from the applicant on that.
We have a photograph with some red outlining on it.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean,
That's that section.
we can
that's-
only assume that that's what they're talking about.
Yep.
Is
So
everything
it's-
that isn't clapboard above the
Corbels?
windows.
And my circling job, isn't
No.
extremely exact on that. I was trying to get that it was the
No.
the roof portion. So
Yeah.
sorry if that was.
I think we should pull this out.
Yes, I agree.
Now I'm very concerned about
Yeah.
it. It's one thing to, try and work around the windows in
Yeah.
order to get the roof tight, but to replace all of this trim, I would say that these Corbel brackets that are there, to me, look very delicate. And they would have to be removed. It's,
Would we suggest that we have the applicant return as a public hearing for
Yes.
next month?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I add one last comment?
think about the application.
The detail in this house is amazing, and it's not only on Islington Street, it's on Cabot now. And if you look at the three houses across the street, that whole street is becoming beautiful, and they've done everything right, and I'd hate to see plastic up there, and I can't imagine they would get anything like the detail that's there now.
What's the matter with paint?
All right, so should we, let's vote on this particular one right now.
Yes, so let's vote to pull it out, and then we can vote how we want to from there.
Right.
And then we'll get back into it.
So, well, I think we can just, if anybody would like to give me a motion to pull this one and request a public hearing for next month.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. All right. Thank you. So we'll go back to.
We're just going to do this.
Okay, item number 8 is 2 Congress Street. This project has been before the commission very recently. We've approved a couple of components on the project already, including the doors and a new opening for the rear door and the condenser unit. We asked that the applicant come back for final lighting details and also for a final detail on the pent roof that will go over the new rear opening. And then what they've also needed and have supplied us with in hard copy form, actually, you know, I do have 1 second.
We have that on our application.
Yes. And then, sorry, here, so then the additional component would be these 2 outside air vent locations.
All right. Any questions on this one?
Yes. So it appears that the light fixture is going to be recessed above the door, and I think that's fantastic compared to what was before. But the ones that are lower down on the side of the doorway, on the framing, are those also recessed, or are those the ones that were presented the last time?
No, those are you see the Hinckley. So it's a sconce. It's like a, it's like a faceted.
Yep, the horizontal rectangular style.
So it actually does stick out.
Yes, it sits on the surface. It's not.
All right, that was the clarification. And then the location of these vents, are they cutting through the foundation?
I
Or is
believe
it-
they're in one of the window openings. As you can see, all of
Yeah, it's
those
a little bit-
window openings are 2
Doubles.
at a time. Yeah,
Okay.
they're doubles.
So,
Yep. I would like to just point one thing out. They do have 2 different light location options for the exactly. Thank you. So I don't know if the commission has a preference on either location. They are shown in either the blue or the pink. I can get that a little bit larger.
I think they're going to have trouble with the blue location because that's just a thin piece of trim that they are not going to be able to like get into and wire.
Yep.
So I think probably option 1 is going to be less visible as well,
Okay.
I agree.
if everybody else agrees.
Yeah, it was function better.
Okay. All right, so we will go with option 1 for the upper lighting, and the vent locations are good. Okay. If there are no other questions, we will move right along. The next application before us, excuse me, will be for 245 Marcy Street. The applicant here is seeking the approval for the installation of a mini split system, so there will be a condenser unit. The condenser location will be in between the 2 first floor windows on the side of the home, roughly in the area of the red circle. Currently, the home is shielded on those 2 sides by the existing 6-foot tall fence. So if you are on Marcy or coming down the side street, you wouldn't have a direct view until you actually made it past the driveway. The applicants have currently removed a little bit of vegetation in that area. They are going to be planting back. They didn't supply an option for a wood screening, but if that's something that the commission wanted, we can certainly stipulate one of our approved options.
Any thoughts or questions? Do you see a need to stipulate a screening?
It's a funny location in that the fence that's there is 6 foot tall. And so, in a sense, the lot is self-screening. But someday, that fence will have to get swapped out. So I guess, while at the moment it seems redundant, it may be best to consider that now.
Yep.
Yep.
That's a good point. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we will request a screen for that one.
Okay, so we will do a stipulation for a wood screening option. I would just like to point out for the record that the condenser will be up on a snow stand. However, that will not make it taller than the height of the fence. It will still be a few feet below. Okay, our last administrative approval is for 48 South Street. This was a project that was approved as a public hearing a number of months ago for the complete re-siding of the home. We approved a sort of basically an in-kind re-siding is what they wanted to go with, but of course we wanted to make sure that that would happen. The contractor who submitted the application and was working on the project actually has passed away. And so when a new contractor was hired, they were given the same approvals, plans by the homeowner. She got home one day, they had done half of one of the sides, and it was at about a 5-inch reveal, and the existing was definitely more of a 3-inch.
6 clapboards.
So she told them to stop. She has been panicking about it. She's looking for guidance as to how to move forward. I believe through our conversations, I believe that there is enough clapboards to do the remainder of the home with the 3-inch reveal, but we're wondering about the part that's already done. So we're wondering if we want to have that removed and redo that with a 3-inch reveal, or if we would approve one side as they've done and the 3 remaining otherwise. I think those are kind of our two options for guidance.
Yes, John?
So the question being is, so I see it's in kind, clapboard's original siding in kind. So I'm
Which is
assuming.
the original approval.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are wooden clapboards.
Yes. Yes.
I can't believe that they installed a 5.5-inch clapboard with a 5-inch reveal. I would say that the best thing would be to remove those clapboards.
Okay.
They can be saved if somebody's cautious, pulling clapboards. I've done it all the time, and yes, you have some holes in the clapboards, but, they have this amazing invention called spackle that will repair the holes, but I just don't think that you can leave 5-inch clapboards, and you certainly can't leave those and then go on to a 3-inch reveal.
Right.
It's a mess. My only comment.
I would hate to live next door. It would drive me to distraction. I've been watching this one, and haven't banged on the door, but I've been watching this one, wondering when this is going to happen. They are going to, it looks like, have to replace the rest of the clapboards in the building. So the question is just whether to redo that one side. Yeah, I can't support that.
Yep. I mean, I think, go ahead, Mr. Brent, or Doug.
I tried to find an example of 2.5 on the front and then wider. There's no example of that.
No.
So if we save the front and then continue wide on the side, there's not a house on the south end that has that and would look good.
Right.
I'm afraid we're going to have to pull it
Yeah.
Right.
because we have some negative opinions.
Right.
What was the question before us?
I think the applicant was really more just looking for what the commission was looking at from the situation and how best to fix it. So I think if the answer from what I'm hearing is that we are comfortable with removing the much larger reveal that was unfortunately installed, and then to just go back with our original approval of the 3-inch, I think that's guidance I can give the applicant.
We can stipulate that this be
Yep.
be done according to what was approved.
Okay.
Okay, that will conclude our administrative approval items for tonight. I will just quickly run through those one more time in case there's any clarification questions. The first item we heard was item number 3, which was 41 Pickering Avenue, and we voted to approve as presented. Then we went back up and started our list. So item number 1, 276 Maplewood Avenue, we approved with the stipulation that where the proposed vinyl fence is to be located, that be a wood fence. Item number 2 is 100 High Street. We moved to approve with the stipulation that the corner mechanical unit be moved back to what was originally discussed and approved at the meeting a couple of years ago.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Are we approving them one at a time now?
No, he's just summarizing.
I'm just
I'm
going
sorry.
back. Yes, it's just to
It
make sure no one
sounded
has
like
any other
we
stipulations.
voted on one and we voted on two.
No, not yet.
No, I understand that. Choice of wording.
Oh, yes, excuse me, yes, sorry. So then we have item number 4, 300 Court Street. We did not have any stipulations for that. Item number 5, 104 Gate Street. Again, we did not have any stipulations for that. Item number 6, 21 South Street, Unit 4. Again, we did not have any stipulations. Item number 7, 342 Islington Street. We did actually pull that out and vote to have that come back as a public hearing next month. Item number 8, 2 Congress Street. The stipulation that option number 1 for the lighting is used. Item number 9, 245 Marcy Street, stipulation that a wood screening option is used, and that would be one of the several approved options for the commission. Item 10 is 48 South Street, and we stipulated that the 5-inch installed clapboards to be removed and to have the new clapboards be installed as originally approved.
All right, if there are no questions or anything, I will take just.
It wasn't clear that South Street, 21 South Street, was going to be a black door and surround.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it was in the application.
Yes.
And the gutters should be white. Do we have to stipulate that?
Yes, sorry. So 300 Court Street, stipulation that the gutters be
Yeah.
painted to match either the trim or siding.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to approve 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10 with the stipulations?
So moved.
And seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you. All right, got through all those.
One thing, this was a copy and paste error on my behalf.
Yes.
We had already removed 44 Rogers Street. I'm not sure how I ended up
Okay.
getting that one over, but we
I
do
saw
not need
that.
to worry about that item this
Okay.
evening.
So, if anyone is looking at the agenda, public hearing A for 44 Rogers Street has been removed. All right, we do have there are 2 requests to postpone that are in the work session old business. Work session A, requested by Kevin Shitan Zhang Revocable Trust of 2017, owner for property located at 377 Maplewood Avenue. I guess they're still working through all of their other approvals or land use boards. And C, the work session requested by PNF Trust of 2013, owner for property located at 266, 278 State Street. We also know that they are working through all of their other approvals. So, all right, so we will start with public hearing number 1, which is the petition of Charles John Barlow and Sean Michael Connery, owners for property located at 491 Marcy Street, wherein permission is requested to allow exterior renovations to an existing structure, replacement windows, siding and trim for the entire structure, and the installation of gutters and skylights, as per plans on file in the Planning Department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 101 as Lot 11 and lies within the General Residence B and Historic Districts. Who is here to please come forward? Welcome, please introduce yourself.
Sure.
Okay, hi, good evening. My name is Charlie Barlow, and I'm here with my fiance, Sean Conroy, and our contractor, Marcelo Franco of Novus Exteriors, who comes with extensive experience in historic renovation projects, and he'll join after me to address some of the more technical aspects of the proposal, and has brought some samples as well for your consideration. So as stated in our submission, we are requesting your approval for proposed renovations at our house at 490 Marcy Street. We purchased it last year and have found that significant repairs are needed to preserve its architectural and historic character in line with the Historic District Ordinance and maintain the property's value. The documents we provided are pretty extensive. We provided a letter from Sean and myself, extensive photographs of the exterior and the interior, details to show the current conditions of the home, a site plan, specifications for the materials that we're proposing to use, as well as building elevations. So city records indicate that our home dates back to 1750. The Portsmouth Historical Survey said circa 1820. We've done a bit of research ourselves, found that through property deeds and items at the Athenaeum, probably 1840 or so. Over the centuries, the house has undergone many changes, and very many structural changes, including the removal of what was a center chimney stack. Now it's only visible in the dirt floor basement and kind of where fireplaces once were in the wide plank floors. A two-story extension was added to the rear. And there was also extensive fire damage to the attic that made that ultimately uninhabitable. The windows all do show signs of really significant age, and none of them are thought to be original. The facade itself has seen several modifications over time. The replacement of wide plank siding with narrow plank siding.
I'm going to stop you right there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because this was, what you see in the historic photograph is a siding that is applied to it. There's no original wide plank siding that big, so no worries. It is
Okay,
like
cool.
the siding, the clapboard that's on there now is like the right size.
Okay, thank you. And then there was vinyl applied to the sides and to the rear. The previous owners purchased the house in 1996. They shared with us that the vinyl was there when they purchased it, and then they installed themselves the wood siding that's at the front of the property. A roof was put on the year before we bought the house. It wasn't done properly, so the roof leaks, and it also requires immediate replacement. So our renovation proposal overall includes the full replacement of all windows with new construction windows and historic sills in the same dimensions as those currently existing, the complete replacement of all siding and trim work, the installation of gutters, and the addition of a new asphalt roof with 4 skylights at the rear of the property. We're planning to install fiberglass Marvin Elevate windows, which I note that you've approved many times in the district. All the existing windows are planned to be replaced with the same grid configuration using simulated divided lights with spacer bars. Generally, the oldest portion of the house is glazed with 6/1 windows, while the newer rear portion is mostly 2 over clear. There is one exception. There's one 2/2 window at the back that we're proposing to replace with a 2 over clear window, just to be consistent with the rest of the windows in that room. We are planning to install aluminum screens. We don't intend to replace the storm windows once they've been removed. And then the skylights are produced by Velux, and the storm doors are produced by Anderson. And now onto the siding. The siding, we're proposing to use smooth plank siding made of fiber cement produced by James Hardy. This material meets the criteria outlined in the updated Preservation Brief 16 dated September 2023 by the National Park Service and the Secretary of the Interior. It's been recognized for its enhanced resiliency, sustainability, aesthetics, affordability, and low maintenance requirements. A number of local historic district commissions have approved fiber cement siding as an appropriate substitute material, noting that its indistinguishable appearance from traditional wood siding. You'll note in our materials beginning page 103 a copy of a presentation on the use of Hardy siding in historic districts elsewhere. And then just in closing, before I turn it over to our expert, 491 Marcy Street is ultimately our forever home. It's where we want to raise a family with our loved ones on the seacoast. We see ourselves as stewards of this historic property and recognize that it really is long overdue for external upgrades to ensure its integrity for years to come. We know it's one of the very few in the district with vinyl siding. The windows are in incredibly poor condition. There isn't one of them that can open safely. Components are missing. There's broken hardware, there's broken panes, there are missing panes in some cases, and most of them have got rotting sills and trim. The roof leaks, as I mentioned, during heavy rains. We need to fully replace that. The gutters are also missing in several places, causing water to cascade down the house during heavy rains at both the front and the rear. And then the siding on all sides is significantly damaged. There's a very long lead time, as you all well know, with ordering these kinds of materials, and with each change in the seasons, our home incurs additional damage and deterioration from the elements. We hope that you'll act on the proposal today, granting us a certificate of approval for our project to proceed with these essential renovations to preserve and protect our home. And with that, I'll turn it over to Marcelo to review any of the technical aspects of the proposal and show you some of the materials that we're proposing to use. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Why is there so?
Hey, good evening. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Basically, the idea for the exterior scope of this project, essentially, from the exterior standpoint, no changes with the curb appeal. So all the composite moldings that will be used on the exterior of this envelope will mimic exactly what is there. Historical sills, crawl moldings, bend moldings, any exterior shape of the trim work is going to be mimic exactly what I have. As far as the siding goes, the siding will be able to go from 4-inch exposure, 5, 6, whatever exposure the committee indicate, approve, variety of colors. But the benefit of the fiber cement, Hadi siding material, I work with this product for over 25 years. The safety for the neighbors will be addressed. The product is 1 hour Class A fire rated. So something happened with Charlie's home, the surrounding neighbors will have 1 hour fire protection. The siding will be able to mimic the exposure of the existing cladding. The siding will drive not only the curb appeal, but also is going to drive 30 years longevity. Will come pre-finished, so the neighbors, the surrounding neighbors, including the applicant, they don't have to be dealing with paint, with chemicals, with anything related to maintenance for the next 30 years. The siding will be installed as a blind nail, so no face nails in the siding. Technically, the project will mimic a cedar application with all stainless fasteners. Even a part of our scope, even the trim work will be attached with hidden fasteners, so no exposure of nails throughout the entire building. Of course, the major concern, curb appeals are very important, is important to all of us, but the applicant has a lot of water intrusion. The siding in the entire envelope has water leakage in every 4 walls from top to bottom. The major component to this scope would be remove what is there and drive water management. All the flashings, all the ice and water, all the components behind the siding is going to drive water management, and essentially it's going to protect the building, it's going to drive more resilient, more protection for the envelope, for the surrounding areas of the envelope. And as far as the windows, same component. So the idea of a system will drive the curb appeal, the resilience, and virtually maintenance-free. So the product itself, the siding itself, will not be affected by the elements, even heat waves, even heavy water, heavy cold. All those components essentially will be resolved with this particular product. And I'm open to technical questions if you have any technical question for me as far as the siding or the scope.
Thank you. We're very familiar with this product.
Yeah.
Yes, John?
So you mentioned that it's going to mimic the wood clapboards exactly. However, then you say that there will be no nails showing. To me, that is a real problem.
Yes, okay.
So I'm looking at the historic preservation guidelines for substitute material, and it's not quite enthusiastically endorsed, like was said. Basically, it's affordability and maintenance costs are the last two items. Basically, we have allowed this material on sides and rear of projects, and insisted on wood siding for the front, and that's the way that I would feel about this particular project myself personally. I can see that the windows, definitely you do have a real problem with the windows there, and unfortunate that they were let go as long as they have been gone. So I can understand your replacement of the windows. What are you doing with the front door and the entryway?
That detail, the architecture, the fluted trim,
Yes.
we're going to keep as is. We're not going to touch it because that's a part of the structure of the trim that's going to require a lot of customization in wood.
Yeah.
So if it's customization wood, we can preserve the wood that's already there.
Yeah. Are you replacing the front door?
Not at the moment. The front door is going to stay as is.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So are you saying that the windowsills and trim will also be hardy, or is that wood?
It'll be PVC material.
PVC.
And also, I don't have at my disposal as we speak. I tried to bring from my shop. I couldn't find it. This is the standard historical sill. But if I didn't take the specific measurement of the sill in the window.
2.5.
But if you need to have what we call the super sill, which is the longer historical sill, also is available in composite PVC material.
And can you vary the thickness of that?
Yeah.
I noticed that the windowsills in the front of this house I'm sure anyone that went there noticed that they were much larger than normal.
The picture that you have in the folder is what they call like a sill nose, which is just a small sill. But the one that I have in my hand is a wider, thicker than what you see in the picture.
But is that as big as you can make them?
Yeah. This actually comes in this particular size. And I have one more size available, which is wider,
deeper,
and taller.
Okay. Yeah. The other molding sample that you have, where does that go?
This molding, I just brought you an example, because if you look at the windows, pretty much all the existing windows are flat casing, which is go from 3.5 all the way to 11 inches. This is just an example that I brought in case I need to show the committee that PVC can have a variety of shapes and sizes and formats for any customization that is going to require. So, but this particular sill, crown molding, is not going to be required on the windows. But if you look on the upper fascia, on the eaves of the home, we might have a crown molding under the aluminum wrap that we will mimic with also molding.
Where would you have that?
Can I get closer to the screen?
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. It's a touch screen.
Under the rake boards here is aluminum. The entire job is basically plastic capped. When I remove this mold, there's the aluminum wrap.
Sorry, no one can hear you. You have to have the microphone with you.
It's all right.
When I remove the aluminum wrap of the rake boards, what we're going to find underneath is going to be a wood molding like this, and that wood molding will be replaced with PVC molding to mimic the look.
It'll be shot. You know it.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Dan.
The other problem is this is a corner house. So you said the front, but there's a good exposure along homes too. I'm not sure if we're going to make them to do wood on two sides. I don't know what to say.
So, yes, and you said that it would never need to be painted. We actually usually ask for it to be painted in the field so that it doesn't look like brand-new crisp plastic, so that it has that layer, that softness of an actual paint layer that at least, has really, as you say, mimics more of the actual
Brush mark.
authentic texture of painted wood.
Yeah, brush marks.
Brush marks and things. So, yeah. Go ahead, Margot.
I guess this is less a question than a concern about, this is in a prominent location, it's right on the street, and we're basically allowing these historic materials to be replaced with plastic, modern materials, and I'm concerned about it. I know that we've allowed PVC in various places in historic homes, particularly where water is a problem, certain places where water collects and the water tables and certain places like this, but the window surrounds and everything. We're talking about basically turning the outside of this structure into a modern material. And I'm concerned about that.
Any other questions? I have a question for our longtime residents and carpenters here, John and David. If you know what happened to the front door and its earlier Greek Revival surround.
I certainly
You don't
don't.
remember when that was changed? Okay.
I can say I don't have the right vocabulary for this, so forgive me. But what was the window panes on either side of the house? We actually did find them.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, they're in
They're
terrible,
buried.
terrible condition. But in a future project when we have more money, perhaps we could consider redoing the front door to match what was more original to the house.
Right. And that's fine. And what's there now seems to be in good shape and is, appropriate to the neighborhood, if not a Greek Revival, reinterpretation. But
It's well
that's,
constructed.
yeah, no, it's interesting that those sidelights are still in
Yeah.
there. It was obviously originally a much bigger door surround.
Side lights. Thank you for the.
Yeah.
For the word.
Yeah. Any other questions or concerns? I guess you've heard a lot, excuse me, of concern about putting the hardy and all of the PVC and stuff on the facade and the side in it. We do often request that would be used for elevations where the public walks, can and has access so close to it, so you can really see it. I think everybody agrees that the hardy board and the PVC trim work and all that stuff from a distance from across the street or down the street looks fine. I mean, especially when it's painted, you really it's not very glaringly different. But when you do get to be right up close to it, you can see those perfect edges and the perfect corners and the seals and all of that stuff. So
Spray painted.
right. So I guess my question for you is, would you be amenable to potential requests from the commission to use wood on the facade and maybe the Holmes Court side?
Yeah, I think, ultimately we're very mindful of cost. This is an enormous project. And, I know that we are entitled, I think, to, replace in kind with what's already there. And of course, we don't want to replace it with vinyl, but that, of course, is the most economic option. We got quotes, including a quote from Marcelo, to do, cedar throughout. And, it was, they all ranged wildly, but at least $25,000 to $30,000 more than the comparable options. And that really is going to put doing this entire project out of reach for us. And I'm not sure that, it also makes sense to do it in piecemeal, because this is kind of something that once you do the roof, you need to do the siding. If you want to do the windows, we need to do, it's all sort of sequential. So.
Well, no doubt you guys are taking on a huge project and are doing, you have yeoman's work to get this house back up to snuff, and I applaud you for taking it on and wanting to do that. Obviously, we all would love to see all of that vinyl siding taken off, all of the original trim moldings and everything, restored, visible again. So thank you for doing that. But and we are mindful of costs, but it's not really in our purview
Yeah, I understand.
to consider that. But we are also human, and property owners, we understand. So
Yeah,
yes, John.
from the photographs, I see that basically the vinyl siding has just a few cracks and holes in it, et cetera, and that happens when it is, especially if it's very cold and it's been hit or whatever. It'll crack, pieces will come off. So I would just if they can't afford to do the house because of our request, I would just as soon see a couple pieces of vinyl fixed than it left on the house. And the reason being is, there it is, it's sitting there for future generations. It's not going to be 100% stripped off, because that's what's going to happen here. The vinyl's going to go, the original wood clapboards that are underneath, which nobody has talked about, they're going to go. They're going to get right down to sheathing. Before you know it, they're going to be covering the whole house with a 1/2-inch plywood, because that often happens. Because the siders look at the sheathing and go, we can't put siding on this, the nails won't, and you're right a lot of times. The nails won't hold. So essentially, what the plan is making a brand new house out of this on the outside, and I have a lot of problem with that.
And Commissioner Wyckoff, if I may,
Yes.
I think the challenge that we're having here is that everything is so sequential. So if we, repaired the vinyl siding, I'm not sure that we'd be able to install new construction windows, because the current sort of rotten windows are encased in aluminum on the outside, and we'd probably end up spending more money for
That can all be
inferior-
stripped off, though.
Yeah.
All the aluminum trim can be taken off if you want, and the window trim around the casings, around the new construction windows, and the windowsills can be, applied, just as he described. They can be put on. If financially you feel you have to leave the vinyl, is what I'm saying, financially.
I think the challenge that we have in terms of the sequence goes back to the ground zero, which is the water management.
Yeah.
If we keep the vinyl and remove the aluminum surrounding the windows,
Yeah.
and get rid of it, or remove the old casings, the wood casings, and put the new construction windows, the existing opening has weight pockets. By the time we put the sashes, the weight pockets is probably within 3 inches.
That's up to you to patch that rough
Correct.
opening.
Once we go back with patch with the plywood, foam, and ice and water, and go back with the new construction window,
Yeah.
we're not going to have enough slack of weather barrier to go back under the siding, if the siding remain, and then we will open yourself to water intrusion around all the 27 windows. So there's a very difficult to weather tight the building when it comes to siding and windows, new construction windows specifically, keeping the siding. So we spend over 65 hours of scope and rescoping and engineering around this project to see what's going to be the best fit within a happy medium between keep the look resilient, but also try to drive some economics in terms of
Understand.
but that's the technicality for the contractor perspective is the water management. Once I touch it, if the water get in, because I was not able to secure everything, I open myself to a lot of liability, especially because inside is a lot of a shoe horse plaster. It's not drywall. There's a lot of antique walls, antique moldings that I have to make sure everything from outside is 100% watertight.
Yeah. And so would you be repairing the trim on the inside?
When the new construction windows, the interior trim
Yeah.
is about 5 inches wide with a sill. There's
Yeah.
going to be all brand new in terms of a pine and then they can paint it, stain, be solid wood pine inside.
It's just too bad that you actually have to remove the jambs.
But 85% of the windows, the sills if I poke my finger, I go through the wall. So my concern, if the water management is not be addressed right away, we are talking with the structural issues soon.
Mind you, I'm not advocating keeping the vinyl siding.
And then one concern that we have in a vinyl siding is because from the roof down, vinyl siding has this kind of Z shape.
Certainly.
Where somewhere in the middle, when we pre-drill small little holes just to investigate a little bit, we could find water seeping through the siding. So when the water hit the roof,
Probably coming from the top.
and every course of vinyl has about a half inch, quarter inch of water across every course. So it's a pretty
Good for the mosquitoes, though.
yeah, it's pretty bad for the integrity of the structure.
I understand the situation. I do.
Okay.
How much would the roof and gutters solve that? How much?
In terms,
New roof and gutters?
yeah,
Would they?
because of the sequence, the proper approach to drive the 100% water control would be at the very least the trim on the upper roof, the roof, and the gutters. So that's a kind of, if you have to break down the entire scope, those three components have to follow in that sequence. But if we touch the upper roof line moldings, trim, I have over 100 plus images of this house in a very close angles because, again, it goes back to my liability with my client. The vinyl siding corners, you have 3 inches holes like waterfall. So the happy median would be drive the look that the committee we approved, drive water management, keep the building intact, and meet the economics of the client somewhere.
All right. Any other questions for this? Yes.
No, I mean, I still think that kind of a compromise on this, in spite of what, Dan mentioned, is that, the sidewalk on Marcy Street is numero uno, I think. That a good compromise would be just to use the wood siding on the front and let them use the PVC and everything else that they are using as, on all the other 3 sides and with their new windows, et cetera, et cetera. So you would be able to do your weather-tight applications with wood siding going up against new construction because you would have it right down to the sheathing.
One of the major components of the entire scope, we think that is the exterior, but actually the most important component on any given envelope is the weather barrier, the flashing. So the weather barrier is going to go behind of everything is self-sealed, self-contained, punched through any holes that's going to go after. So
are you prepared to find rotten sheathing?
Yes, has a contingency plan in place.
That,
yes,
it has to be replaced. And
we advise the client to keep a little buffer for a couple of pieces of plywood on the lower ground areas, on the cheek walls and stuff like that. But we all know that antique homes, they are better built in terms of rigidity than houses built in the 90s, right? So, but they are very drafty. Air flows throughout. So for that matters, we believe that the main structure, the horizontal planks, are in okay shape, in decent shape to receive a new stainless fasteners after.
You'll have to fix them.
I'm sorry?
You'd have to fix them.
Yeah. See, if any rot is found, the client is advised that it's going to be a sheeting replacement.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay. Anything else? So,
Comments from the public?
yes, I'm going to open it up to the public, and then we'll have to figure out how to come to a conclusion on this. All right, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak to, for, or against?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please come up to the microphone.
Hi, my name is Janine McCoy, and I reside at 499 Marcy Street. And despite the fact that there are 8 numbers between 491 and 499, all that separates my house from the folks next door is Holmes Court. We both have homes that are right up against Holmes Court. So I'm one of the folks that really is going to be impacted and interested in what's happening next door. Before I say anything about that, I want to thank you folks for your service. I recognize that you're almost all volunteers and giving your time for a relatively thankless role, and so I really do appreciate that. And as someone who has lived in the historic district, it was a dream of mine to move here when I worked in Concord. And I have been here for 32 years and still can't believe my good fortune to be in the historic district. So I really appreciate what you do. I hope that you will be open to some ideas about adaptive preservation. I'm thrilled to have Charlie and Sean as neighbors, and so excited to see what they are intending to do. A little jealous, but really excited to see what they are planning to do. They are people who appreciate the historic environment. As Charlie said, they think of themselves as stewards, and a lot of us think of ourselves as stewards of these homes that we happen to live in. They were there long before us, and they'll be there long after us, and they have that sensibility. They didn't buy that home looking to, for a view or to take it down or create something different, which is actually happening in our neighborhood. They are looking to do long-term preservation in an affordable way. And one of the things that is exciting is the developments that are enabling us to preserve our historic homes, but also do it in better environmental ways and also affordable ways. They're looking to invest to maintain and improve the home, and they're real community members that want to invest in their community and keep the historic nature of the home, but preserve it. And we are really dealing with, as I'm sure you know, a lot of water issues in our neighborhood, and preservation is getting more and more difficult. I'm excited about their plans. I'm going to be right next door. I'm going to be looking at it all the time, and I'm really impressed with the way the Hardy board looks. I'd probably be before you asking to do it for my place if I were doing that kind of extensive renovation. As things change due to climate and the passage of time, and we have innovations, again, I just ask you to think about adaptive preservation and to please encourage this kind of investment in our community because it's really needed and welcome. And again, I'm just really excited to see it happening next door. And way better than the vinyl. This home, as you have identified and as they have identified, has needed some TLC for a long time. And so I'm grateful that they're making the investment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes.
Tyler Markley, 475 Marcy Street. Like to say what she said, but I won't be able to do it as articulately. Thank you for your service. I know this is a pretty thankless job, and you put a lot of time into it. I would say, 475 Marcy, or I guess we're the other abutter. This house, I think these pictures are kind, to be honest. I don't know that there is a single original piece on it. It's obviously a mixture of different materials from different times. Charlie and Sean have undertaken quite the project here. I've been super appreciative. I have a very, very close view, probably about 36 inches. I'm going to say that I had to replace a bunch of my cedar siding that's less than 5 years old this year because of water damage. Don't see really an issue with the materials personally as being so close. I am extremely appreciative of them undertaking this project and this investment. This home, it really needs it. I don't think there's many people that would have undertook it. And I just want to ask for all your support in it, and we certainly approve it next door. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to this application? All right. Anyone online? All right. Seeing no one rise, I will close the public hearing and wait for some sort of a motion. I think that we can probably find some sort of agreeable compromise here for this house to get it back to better.
I guess I would make the motion that we approve this as presented with the stipulation that wood siding be used on the front of the house and around the windows. I'm seeing that the cove, the plastic, I hate to say plastic, but the composite moldings and such up underneath the roof would be acceptable because of their height, et cetera. We're just essentially looking at the sidewalk experience.
And does this include corner boards, or can corner boards and the water table be PVC?
I would say the corner boards on the front definitely, so that corner boards both sides should be wood.
Okay.
So I'm accepting the windows, I'm accepting the roof.
Skylights.
Stripping the skylights and stripping it down and waterproofing it, but I just feel that wood siding needs to be put on the front. So anyways, that's a long motion, isn't it?
We get everything except wood on the facade.
Yeah.
So, can we get a second?
I'll second.
All right, is there any discussion to this? Well, first of all, we need our findings of fact, and then we can.
I will.
I guess I have a question for
Let me-
John. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
So would the reveal of the hardy board match the wood on the front?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hardy board's now down to 3.5 or 3 or?
And we can do 3.5 or 4?
Sure.
Sure. I mean, technically, we're in a closed session here, but we can get.
Do we know the review on because the current review for the vinyl is a 4-inch.
Yeah.
What about the wood on the front?
The wood in the front also matches the 4-inch.
So it's
Yes.
4 inch. Okay.
4-inch review. So Hardy goes 4, 5, 6, 7.
4.
So the clapboard in the front after the client talk, 4-inch in the front, 4-inch on the side.
Yes.
Great.
So everything will be 4 inch. No.
He's making this up, ma'am.
Okay.
He's just
So,
making this up.
The overall look would preserve the integrity of the district, and it's consistent with special and defining character of the surrounding properties, and it's compatibility with innovative technologies in surrounding properties.
So could I ask some clarifications with regard to the stipulations in the
Please.
motion? So the front facade is to be done in wood, and the reveal for all sides is going to match whatever is found underneath the vinyl. Because it's my understanding that the vinyl really hasn't been taken off. Pieces have been looked at and we've drilled through, but we don't actually know until the whole thing comes off exactly what the reveal is on those. So I'd like to say that it would be what's found underneath.
I can't agree with that. I'm sticking with a 4-inch reveal. I don't think the Hardy can get down to 3-inch or 3.5 inches and stuff. It's a thicker material.
Well, I understand that, but I think the point perhaps that David is chomping at the bit down there is that we're normally, when we replace siding like this, we try to stick to the old reveal, and we're allowing a change in order to allow the hardy plank. And so, which is more important? Is it keeping the historic reveal or changing the reveal to allow for the use of the new material? Now, maybe it will be lucky, and when they pull the siding off, it'll be 4, and this whole thing will be moot. But I think we should know.
Is the reveal in the front currently now, which is wood, 4 inches?
I don't think that the contractor or the homeowner can say for sure because they haven't pulled off.
The
But
front
there's
is currently
nothing to pull off
wood.
on the front, right?
The wood.
The front facade is currently wood.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, that's really what what Mr. Wyckoff is heading us toward. Some sort of a replication of what looks to be the front. But you're absolutely right. We don't know what any of the material underneath the wrap around the rest of the building is. We don't know when that was done. This house is that ball rolling down the street being at the timeline since people have been here. This house once had a center chimney, then once had end chimneys. It once was dressed up as a sidelight Victorian. It's then been restored into this condition. And it has, it's third front doorway on it. In my going around seeing what is available on the building, it has 2 different size sills because the windows have come from different periods. I don't know that there's a one-size-fits-all that's really going to turn this house into anything other than yet another house. The idea of returning this to a house that it once was, I think, has passed us in our abilities. It would be useful to the applicant and possibly the community to make some determination as to what you wanted here. Given that it's a fairly blank page at this point, the siding that's on the building is all going to come off. The windows that are on the building are all going to come off. The corner boards in the building are all going to come off. So this is the time to have your moment because I don't think anything real here. I mean, unless you like what's here, then of course that could be what you wanted. But we don't see it all. We're looking around the edges of things. I poked it a little bit today. I've been watching this house for some time. It's falling apart, and whatever they say about the exterior water leaking off the roof, I think while I'm sure roofs leak, this building, if you look at it, is showing the signs of condensation water in the wall cavity. That's why all of the window casings are rotting off at the bottom and the sills are rotting, is because the wall cavities, I believe, more than likely were insulated from the outside. That's when they put the asbestos siding on it. They blew rock wool in, that's my guess. Window openings had pockets for sash weights. The sash weights aren't there any longer, but there's no insulation in those cavities, so all of the moisture in the house is condensing in the back of those window casings, and they look just like that. They're rotting from liquid water inside. And some of what they're doing is going to change that. They'll be stuffing the walls with things because there's too big a wall cavity to put the window that they want in it. I can't support this. I think that they've made a huge mistake by making the decisions that they have. That we have a guy here that just happens to have a piece of plastic preform trim that you are going to be interested in seeing as a raking molding on the roof edge when he gets to that point in the job. I think that's silly. I think that the reason they don't want to touch the front door is he doesn't have any plastic parts to go there, because we're really having a conversation with a plastic salesman. I don't see anything useful here. I don't see how this is really ever going to be a contributing building to its neighborhood again. It's going to look like one of the pictures in the magazine, but it's not going to be a tactile, real old house, is my impression. I doubt I'm going to support any of the motions that you're going to try to make out of this.
Okay, fine.
So
Yes, John?
it's a home.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And they're trying to, repair this home that David has admitted is rotting from the inside out. I think that we've come up with a good compromise, and that's it.
Okay.
Let's go.
Anything else? I'll just say that, yeah, I agree with David in that this poor building has been changed up and worked up and left to rot so many different times that it's not known what it ever originally looked like, if there is even any original material left. So I think doing the best we can to look at our surroundings, put what is generally appropriate for the historic district up there, like the 4-inch revealed clapboards, the corner boards, everything like that is, and everything that they've presented in terms of the window types, even the fact that you're replicating the different types of windows in the front, which is older, and the back, which is newer, is still at least continues to tell a little bit of the story of the house, doing the best you can. So that's my opinion. I guess let's go ahead and take a vote on this, because we have a motion and a second.
Did we want to stipulate half screens? I think it was mentioned that there were screens in the windows. We do
Yes.
typically stipulate half screens.
Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you for catching that. Okay.
And we must not forget either that both neighbors are in support of this project.
Sure. Yeah.
They live there.
All right, I will take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Opposed?
Chair votes aye. Thank you for, the stipulations. Thank you. This has been a very long and complicated, I think much more probably than you expected. But thank you. And good luck. It'll be fine. You can always come back to us for any changes you find or anything that pops up along the way. Okay. Next is public hearing number 2, the petition of 113 Bow Street Condominium Associates for owner for property located at 113 Bow Street, wherein permission is requested to allow exterior renovations to an existing structure, remove existing front canopy, and construct new front entry overhang, as per plans on file in the planning department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 106 as Lot 56 and lies within the Character District 4, Downtown Overlay, and Historic Districts. Hello and welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, David Mansfield, resident and applicant.
Great, thank you. Please present your project.
Okay, so the first picture shows what was on the building, and that was approved at a previous Historic District Commission meeting years ago. It's not something, it was very, it was something that was thought about replacing. The storm this past winter fast forwarded that, it blew off. So what we're coming to is we looked at a couple different designs, and I'd prefer not to put aluminum and canvas back up. It's a very simple building. It was done by Joe Sawtell. It was supposed to mimic a warehouse. So I think what's proposed here is kind of taken from the brewery yards that the HDC approved. And, we looked at, the thought of a traditional portico just didn't feel like it would fit on this. So this is what we have landed on, and here with the proposal.
Great, thank you.
The one difference I'll say is because this gets being right on the river, the wind just howls down the river, is supporting this. It has the hanging rods, and that will play some role, but it's not going to be fully supported by the hanging rods. It will have the vertical supports to make sure that this doesn't blow into a neighbor's car.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
So just to clarify the lovely picture that you've taken of the sample from somewhere else in town.
Yes.
The part you're focusing on is just the arch and the supporting cables. You're not making any changes to the door or the door surround that exist on your building today?
Now, the steps,
Okay.
the rails, the door, everything will remain the same.
Okay. And where are you planning the vertical supports that you were just talking about?
If we go down a little bit. I believe it's in the construction drawings.
Oh, yes. 1 second. There we go.
Yeah, so it would be just to the outside and forward of the front of the steps, and then it would come down on the side of the steps and step in and bolt to the foundation.
If you go to the next one, it's the.
Okay. And those would be, this whole assembly is white or black?
Black steel. It will all be custom made.
Okay. And even though it's not in our purview, are you planning to change the paint or anything around the surround of your door?
No, we just painted that, so plan to leave that the way it is.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Seems much more straightforward than the last application, so. Are there, all right, if there are no questions or anything, I will open it up to the public for any comment. Anyone from the public? Anyone online? All right, seeing no one rise, I'll close the public hearing and wait a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Seconded?
I'll say purpose and intent, complement and enhance architectural and historic character. Findings of fact, it's consistent with special defining characters for any properties.
Great. Any other discussion? I think, you're dealing with a 1997 building, and you can kind of do what you want within reason. I think this is an attractive option, so. All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. All right. Next, we have public hearing number 3, petition of John and Susan Durkin, owners for property located at 564 Middle Street, wherein permission is requested to allow exterior renovations to an existing structure, replacement windows, as per plans on file in the planning department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 147 as Lot 11 and lies within the Mixed Research Office and Historic Districts. Hi, welcome.
Good evening. John Durkin, I'm the homeowner at 564 Middle Street. First of all, thank you, Isaac. I've peppered him with a million emails about getting this all straightened in a presentable format for the commission, so thank you to Isaac. A pretty straightforward project. This is a ADU on the back of our house. It's it's a few hundred square feet. It's hard to tell. I don't think it was original to the house, at least not all of it. I've outlined with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So where the 1 is now, that's a casement window because that's the kitchen portion of the ADU. That's clearly not original to the house. Where the 2 is, that is like it looks like a door from frankly the 70s. It's a wooden door with, I think, 9 lights. It looks like it's from the 80s. 3 is 1 window now. I don't think that was original because I believe that was an addition from kind of like the line where it goes from 1 to 5 over there. I believe that was an addition to the house. I don't know at what point. So 4 and 5 are also, I don't believe they're original. So the proposal is where 1 is, where that casement window now will be a 15 light 36 by 80 door. 2, where the existing door is, will become a window consistent with the other windows in 3, 4, and 5. 3, where the single window is, will be 3 windows, with space in between. And then 4 and 5, again, new construction windows of the same size. Again, everything is designed to be as duplicative as possible of what's there. They're going to be 2 over 2. Full divided light on the Anderson E-Series windows. They'll be black. Outside of 3, 4, and 5 are currently aluminum black storm windows that this commission approved, 2 or 3 years ago. 1 and 2 have no visibility from the street whatsoever, nor does 3. 4 and 5, arguably, someone would have to slow down, possibly even stop and take a hard look to the right if they were walking outbound on Middle Street, but very limited view from the street. So the products that we're looking at is the Anderson E-Series, I think is the name of it. I put the brochure in there. They're wood on the inside, aluminum clad on the outside. They'll be, again, 2/2. I think Anderson calls it full divided light, which is arguably a step beyond simulated divided light. There is an actual, it looks like a piece inside there. The brochure shows that near the end of my package. The one side where, so that this commission did approve a limited use of aluminum clad windows. Again, this was a few years ago. And if you go to the next photo, it shows where it shows 4 and 5 together.
They're sideways.
Yeah, right there. Okay. So you see 4 and 5 in the bottom right-hand corner. Immediately to the left of that, kind of right in the center of the screen, that window on that from that side, all the other windows are original. That one was approved to be was a Harvey Magistry window with, again, aluminum clad exterior, 2/2 simulated divided light. So we didn't really love that window, so that's why we opted to go with Anderson on this project. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions?
I would just mention, well, the architectural, the E-Series is, is primo, obviously. And what Anderson has kind of snuck on their specifications here is that that's now called true divided light, even though it's not. Even though it's what we call simulated divided light. And now they're calling simulated divided light has no spacer bar in it at all. So this has nothing to do with your project, sir.
Okay.
This is something we need to be aware
I'm just saying that, it's something we have to look out for because, we've always required simulated divided lights, and now Anderson, I'm not sure, maybe they're just doing it for their primo architectural series, and the other windows are, but it's just a change of term, but like everything, they've made it cheaper. No, I feel that these windows make a lot of sense.
Any other questions?
Planning on half screens?
I have no objection to half screens.
Okay, great. Any other questions? I remember this application coming before, and your new storm windows on your original windows are quite lovely, so thank you for keeping this up. All right, anybody from the public who wishing to speak to for or against? Anyone online?
Yep.
Okay, seeing no one rise, I'll close the public hearing and wait for a motion for this application.
I'll make the motion that we approve this as presented.
Second?
With the half-screen stipulation.
Yes. Preserves the integrity of the district, and, it's consistent with special and defining character of surrounding properties.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. Thank you for, it's all out of the way. I'm sure it's going to be, thank you for using a very high-quality replacement window. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Public hearing number 4, petition of John and Catherine Hazelton, owners for property located at 68 South Street, unit number 1, wherein permission is requested to allow exterior renovations to an existing structure, window replacements for unit number 1 to match window replacements at the adjacent unit, as per plans on file in the planning department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 101 as Lot 70-1 and lies within the General Residence B and Historic Districts. Hi there. Welcome.
Hi.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm John Hazelton, my wife Kathy.
Hi.
Thank you, everybody, for helping us out with this project. And we certainly appreciate your time. Hopefully, we're a little bit more vanilla in what we're going to try to do than some of these other projects. Our intention is we'd like to replace, we have 20 windows. They are now covered with something that looks like maybe from the 70s, a storm window, aluminum, kind of not really attractive in our opinion. And they're extremely drafty. We have a window in our bedroom that opens by itself. So, there's all kinds of crazy things like that. We love the home. We spent many years trying to find a home like this. Our intention is to put in replacement windows that are inserts so that we can maintain the integrity of the exterior and the wood trim, and lots of it is in very good shape. I know David's been over probably once or twice and looked at it. The siding's in mostly great shape. There are a couple of pieces that are cracked or rotten that will need to be replaced. But other than that, it needs a little TLC and painting around the front door. But all that we want to keep the same. So we have had a Marvin window person come over, consult with us about the Elevate window, half screen, and keeping the same, yes, thank you, keeping the same details of the windows. So the lower windows are 9/6 and the upper windows are 6/6. So the intention would be to keep those exactly the same, the way they divide the light. And
Half screens.
yeah,
Good.
we noticed you guys like the half screen
We do.
piece. So. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, great.
Oh,
So
sorry.
our neighbors behind us in 66, Unit 1, you've met them and had some time with them. Our intent was to kind of wait and see what they were doing before we started our project. We've lived in the house for 2 years and we've been planning to do this, but waiting for the right time. And so once we learned what they were doing, we want to be consistent. We want to maintain that consistency within the building and kind of the L, even though we're two separate units. So a part of that is the intention of the window choice and the structure and detail of the windows.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the commission? No?
I think it's a great project, and keep up with your painting, because nothing protects your wood and your trim more than keeping up on your painting.
Yeah.
And I do have a question. I guess Mr. Adams has been there several times, just confirming that these are not special historic windows.
The sashes themselves are not, but the window frames are on the first floor are original to the construction of the house, which I put around 1785. There's been some changes, and as you can imagine, the second floor windows look virtually identical, except they are new frames compared to the ones on the first floor. The ones on the first floor are set into the sheathing, whereas the ones on the second floor are set on top of the sheathing. But otherwise, they look identical. The molding slightly changes slightly. That they are interested in putting replacement sashes in these things is a testament to two things, maybe three. They're Yankees, I guess, and also that the kind of window construction was adequate enough, and the care of the house over time has been good enough that these things are still there. These windows never had sash weights, and so they don't have that endemic problem of the condensation on the single board on either side of the windows. So they've got it made.
Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, great. Any further questions? Any comments from the public? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone online? Okay, great. I'll close the public hearing and wait for a motion.
I'll move to approve as presented.
I'll second that.
And my findings of fact. I believe it preserves the integrity of the district and is consistent in special, or compatibility of design with surrounding properties.
Thank you. Yes, this obviously was easier since we've already gone through sort of the other part of your building with your neighbors. So, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Number 5, petition of Haven School Condominium Association owner for property located at 50 South School Street, unit number 3, wherein permission is requested to allow exterior renovations to an existing structure, replace basement windows and basement door, and construct new entry, as per plans on file in the planning department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 101 as Lot 60-3 and lies within the General Residence B and Historic Districts.
Hi, I'm Phil Schwartz. My wife and I own it. Actually, the Pella rep sent me more information this morning. I've got 8 copies, if it will help.
Okay, sure.
Oh, my God.
Sure.
Thank you.
So Isaac, can you pull up the diagram that shows the lower level and all the window layout? We start there.
Is that this one here?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
So, for those of you who haven't been there, on this particular diagram, the top of the diagram faces South School Street. If you actually look at the school, there's 6 units in the building. We have a separate entrance all the way to the left side of the building, facing the building. So, South School Street is the top, Marcy Street is off to the right, and South Street is off to the left. The real important point being the windows that we're planning to replace, none of them are facing any of those streets. The majority of them are on the right-hand side going down, and then there are a couple on the back of the building, but none of them have a street view at all. If any of you have actually been to the building, you'll see that the windows are not historic at all. They're maybe 30, 40 years old, and particularly on the right side of the diagram here, a number of them are in a significant state of rot. That particular side of the building does not have a gutter. It's got a sloped roof, so the water really comes down pretty hard on the windows. So the windows that we've proposed that you see in the packets are actually a Pella Lifestyle series, which have a PVC outside and a wood inside, allowing us to paint the inside or stain it to match the interior. And the PVC intentionally to withstand the fact that there's no gutter on that particular side of the building. The PVC comes in white, gray, or brown. We don't have the samples from the Pella rep, but we think brown is probably going to look best on that building and match that exterior. I guess another note, if you're actually looking at the windows, the packet I just sent out, just to simplify it for you, windows 3 and 9 are fixed 37 by 36 windows, so they will not open, they're just fixed windows. Window number 4, which is actually in the bedroom, is a 47 by 58 double casement, which actually complies with the fact that it's a bedroom and there needs to be egress out of the bedroom. And then the other windows, 6, 7, and 8, are all 43 by 45 double casements, just to simplify what we're talking about. There's really going to be no trim to speak of on the outside because these holes are into a cement foundation. So the only trim, if you will be to make the new windows fit, but there'll be no exterior trim at all. So it'll just be side or surrounding the windows. And the metal bars that are around all these windows will all be taken off. 1, because we don't like them, but 2, because they need to be taken off during the installation process anyway. The new windows, for both safety and security, will all be tempered glass. I think that's all I have for you, if there are any questions.
Great. Yeah, any questions? Okay.
have just one clarifying question for the applicant. I did note in some of the additional plan sheets that were submitted that it looked like there was a potential new front entry stair being built. Is that part of this application or not at this time?
It is not.
Okay,
It's not
thank
part
you
of
for
this application.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. I saw it in there, so I included it just in case, but we will erase that.
Yeah, that would obviously be an additional discussion, but it's
Okay.
not part of this project.
Okay,
So
perfect.
just the windows. Right.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm guessing, I'm sorry to interrupt, just, I'm guessing we need to do half screens, right? I've been sitting here for a while.
Well, I don't believe your windows will need half screens because they're not double hung.
Okay.
If they're casements, then it's just a full
Okay.
screen, either
Right.
on the inside or outside, wherever the
Screens
casements
go.
open out or in, do you know?
The casements will open out.
Okay, so you'll have an interior screen anyway.
Okay, sorry.
Yes,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Adams.
On the two of the windows, the first two on this sheet, number 3 and 4, there's something I don't understand in the drawing. Heavy shaded area at the top of that. What does that indicate?
I'm not sure I'm following your question.
Okay, you just delivered this.
Yep.
You see the picture of the window on it.
Yep.
It's also the same in your.
Because one of the options that my wife is considering is Pella makes an interior blind within the window. And she's considering that for some of these windows, and I think that's what you're seeing in the picture. If you're questioning the heavy shaded area at the top, is that the question?
That is the question, yes. So some of the windows will have a blind in them?
She's
like 2.
Yes. There are 2 windows she was considering it for.
It's for the base, for the bedroom.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
It does look like there are some existing blinds in a couple of the windows now too, so.
It could be just interior. Well, and you don't like your bars? I think they're actually very good-looking bars for window bars.
Well, it's a relative thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Any other questions? Yes.
No, I just got to say, yeah, the fact that this is around the corner and it's not really, the main entrance and stuff like that. I'm not going to be. Also, this building is very important. This is where my father went to elementary school, so this building has a close personal place in my heart. But
Well, just as an aside, when they turned these into condos in 79, 80, for the HVAC in many of the buildings inside, most of them have 12-foot ceilings, 8-foot windows, which is fantastic. But they dropped down the ceilings around 3.5 feet to put the HVAC up in there. So part of what we're going to be doing inside is getting rid of that and restoring the original height.
Nice.
And the reason why I mentioned it is because crawling up into that existing space, we found old remnants from the school, like pictures that were on the wall. And
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
That was pretty
Ah.
cool.
Then left them.
Great. Cool. All right. Did I ask for public hearing or public opinion yet?
Not yet.
Okay. Anyone from the public wishing to speak to this application? All right. Anyone online? Okay. Seeing no one rise, I'm going to close the public hearing and wait for a motion.
I move that we accept this as presented.
I'll second that.
I think we're talking about conservation and enhancement of property values and compatibility with designs of surrounding properties.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. So, thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
All right. Here, now we have just 2 work sessions left. Work session B is requested by Jeffrey Daniel Berlin, owner, for property located at 38 State Street, unit number 4, wherein permission is requested to allow renovations to an existing structure, new roofing, roof deck, and windows, and new construction to an existing structure, construct new penthouse addition to access roof deck, as per plans on file in the planning department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 105 as Lot 10-4 and lies within the Character District 4 and Historic Districts. Who is here to present this? We should all go down if this is a work session.
Yep. How's it going? Good, how are you? Good.
Hello and welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks, Isaac.
I'm Nick Isaac, architect from Durham.
Welcome. Present what you got for us.
So we were here last time. I don't know. I'm trying to remember all the faces here. I feel like most people were here. There was a gentleman that wasn't before, but
He is.
he was the alternate.
We're missing two
Oh, okay.
people tonight. Our alternate, Larry Booz and Martin Ryan.
Okay. I was going to reference something that he had said, so I couldn't remember his name. But so this is sort of like there's kind of three aspects to this. So the top of this building, it's a 5-unit condo building. The top of this building has gone through fires and poor building construction. And so it's kind of gotten to the point where I think we just need to blow the top off this thing and fix everything. Basically, we have fire issues, we have structure issues, and so these designs are incorporating. The main thing is also the floor that we tore off during this water damage. The deflection in these beams are so much so that I think what we need to do is build new ledgers and then new floor joists across the 23 feet of the building. And so we're sort of pushing everything up basically 12 to 15 inches sort of. The fire safety aspect of this is the party walls. I call them firewalls because that's all I really know them to be. In Durham, where I have other property, this is what it's referred to for fire safety over there. So on both sides of this, so the preferred design for myself is on page 1. It's the A1 design. There's some things that I prefer to change on this, particularly in between the chimneys. On the other versions, you'll see that the partitioning wall, we bring it straight up to sort of hide this penthouse that we're also looking to, which is the third part of this. I guess there's 4. So it's the floor, the front and back, and then the penthouse. So looking for feedback on the dormer styles that we're presenting here. I think they're more aligned with the existing building and the character around town that we found. We kind of went back and forth between Nick and I about how to design this party wall, the party walls on both sides, whether we step them up like you see on, I think it was Market Street going into town. And then this design, which is actually, I think one of the buildings that I saw, the awning building, is basically what this first one was sort of designed after.
Jeff, just one quick thing. I know in your email I had 3 PDFs, so if the order's a little out of line in what I have on the screen, just let me know. And
Oh,
I'll
I'm
try my
sorry.
best
So
to-
we're looking at A1. Sorry, that's what I'm looking at right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
the actual
Yeah,
renditions.
some of them just got a little mixed up
Sorry
on
about
my
that.
end, so
Yeah.
apologize for that. Okay, great.
So each one of these designs sort of has different aspects, so you can kind of see what they all look like. And so we're looking for feedback on the height of the partitioning walls, whether brick or we go metal, the blue metal clad, steel blue, whatever we're calling that. Standing seam. And then the dormer style. I think these two dormers, this one actually is growing on me a lot.
Certainly the simplest.
Certainly the simplest. Yeah. Sometimes simple is better, right? So
Sometimes, yeah.
but I also, I actually had Isaac work up the A2 option dormer because I thought that's what you guys would prefer. And
Really?
that's kind of what I had preferred. And then I went back to liking the other one. So I don't know what
Kind of
that
a
means
little
anything.
mini
But
Versailles on top of your building, isn't it?
I tend to go with more simplistic stuff like the first one, but
I should have gone with his instinct. I should have gone.
the second one's more of a contemporary
Yeah.
look, but I.
So yeah, and as I think that A1 fits the building the best personally, but we would really like to hear
I
your
tried to
input.
pick up some of the geometry from the lower
Yeah.
facade, because I think a lot of times the dormers up above don't align in a lot of these buildings, and it looks a little strange.
And then we didn't put. I'll let you. Sorry, on the back. I don't know if you want to even talk about that right now, but the back. We kind of struggle with. This is basically the exit. We don't have it in this packet. Isaac, you have to pull up the last packet to see the existing pictures. But I think we're basically matching what we have right now. It's just going up. It would just be raising it. So it's yellow painted clapboard right now. We could do one of two things. We could extend we could do a painted brick to match the back painted yellow brick right now, or we could keep it the painted clapboard.
So there's no firewall per se or anything
No, I mean,
on
I
the
would-
back? On the back.
Not on this design. If you guys say, which I prefer, because it's the fire safety thing, but I just didn't know how it would look with the design on the back.
I mean, it'll be fire safety. It'll be like a fireproof gypsum underneath anyway. It'll be a fire-rated wall either
Certainly,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so monolithic and blank up there. It's just,
Yeah, this is kind of a washed out
yeah, well,
rendering.
maybe that's the problem.
It would actually look more like the clapboard below, but even that looks washed out in these renderings.
Why is there such a space both above and below? It seems like an unnatural amount of space below the window and an unnatural amount of space above the window in terms of regular house proportions.
The backside, you mean?
Looking at the back view, which
Oh,
is,
the back view.
I'm sorry, that's where I am.
Well, he mentioned the new floor joists, spanning the building at, 22 feet. I imagine they're going to have
It is a foot higher than,
a lot more height.
because we're putting a foot high joists on top of the existing floor, because we're creating an entirely new floor that floats above the existing floor.
You need both floors?
The existing timbers are charred to the point where we don't really want to rely on those.
Why keep them?
They're holding up the ceiling
They're-
below.
Well, the ceiling of the unit below is completely tied to that, so would rather not.
You don't control the unit below? Got
Condo.
it. It's not your ceiling. Got
Would
it.
rather not really disrupt their.
No, Nick actually had a great idea. I don't even remember all of it, but we were going to basically try to completely separate.
We might put plywood
Yeah.
on the top of those beams so that when we're working on the unit above.
That way nobody falls through the ceiling.
Nobody falls
either.
through. We can put insulation over it. We can have it. Yeah, it's
And
all
then if they go in through their ceiling
soundproofing
eventually
100%.
and
Yeah.
do wiring, these things don't fall down from above. But in a way, I think by putting a new lid on this building, we're preserving the entire building below as well, which is kind of.
But if it makes it look odd, how is that good?
On the back.
Well, that's where we are.
I understand that.
I think the back needs work. I mean, I
Yeah.
haven't really put a lot of time in.
You can come
most
up
of
with-
our inventory.
Sorry. Then we'll talk about it besides.
You can come up with something.
We can come up with something. Yeah.
The back is the
We
back
can-
right now.
Okay, fine.
And we haven't, even the windows don't line up with the ones below, which they should, so that was kind of a quick,
All right, well,
I would,
if we were to focus on the front, then we'll do that.
if, I would just say if option A1 is your preferred, I would support that.
Sure.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you mentioned, you carried the lines from down below in the front, and that's, it matches it, and it's simpler.
We're not sure about the center window. We know that, ideally it would be nice to have just a large plate glass window there, But I know that's not a historic type of thing, but then you have this
blank wall below, so we want to express that center zone, but we don't want to have a blank wall, obviously.
I think it's more successful with the, you know,
Some kind of
the
a
image
change.
of small panes.
We just don't know how to.
It's a great point, actually. I didn't think of
Yeah.
None of the images that you show, I agree with the other members here, obviously, that the rectilinear facade is more in keeping with the tension and surface of the building below. I don't see your penthouse in the images. Is there a reason?
The feedback we got last time was to basically hide it. And that's what I was going to so if you actually go, it's a great point and question. So if you go to the elevations drawn,
It shows up there.
you can kind of see it. In fact, we didn't do it 100%. So Isaac, I don't know if you can go to this one right here. It's going to be a separate dock. Yeah, that one right there. So if you're looking at the proposed penthouse, see how it's kind of, we're trying to sink that in and use facade to hide it in a
You
way.
actually can't
So it's
see
not a
it.
prominent feature here. And the way we're doing it and sinking it in on the back, we can also
Sinking
raise
it
that.
in.
So where it is right now is there's a ledger that is a great ledger to work from in that height. And so when we redo the front and the back, we're raising all that stuff up, but we're not touching that ledger that we're going to put this penthouse on. And so everything sort of goes up on both sides, front and back, and it makes it so that this is sort of sunken into the middle of the top floor.
So you actually are seeing a little bit of it right here in this view.
Which one?
Which one, Isaac? You said?
Is that that white square?
Yeah, you can
That's
see it
when
on
goes
the side, but then also if you go to
Yeah.
so if you go to, for example, B1A or B1B, in between the chimneys, it's raised up all the way, it's flat across, and you can barely see the top. So it's sort of like, to me, it's not, I don't have a preference on that one as much as I do the front dormer.
Is there some way that this penthouse could be not yellow?
Listen, if you tell me you want it purple, I'll paint it purple.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean,
No,
if
it
it
could
were,
be camouflage.
if it
even
had
more,
some
there's no reason.
panelized or, you know, looked more like roofing material, dark. I think we had one application many years ago where they put slate on the side.
Sure.
Your standing seam that you've got here.
Yeah, in fact, I'm curious if we could get your input on which partitioning wall, firewall, party wall you prefer, whether it's the brick or the standing seam. Brick.
I mean, the building is, the facade is brick, although it's painted yellow. That's why we were kind of having this, yellow versus brick. Do we leave the natural brick? Do we paint the brick yellow?
So what we would be imitating, I don't know if we drew it perfectly or we have the right image here, but on Bow Street above Martingale, all those have that, it goes from brick to I think it looks great. I think with the yellow building that we have, it would also look great, but I also do see how attractive obviously the brick is.
Personally, go ahead. I was just going to say, personally, that works really well in that building because it's a brand-new building. So I think when you're working with an existing historic building, I tend to be a little bit more conservative about it, even though you're changing and it's new, but it's, a full brick side there would be more in keeping with how the historic building is constructed. So,
And that would be the same on the other firewall, the other wall, facing the
Yeah, we don't have that
corner
one
building.
rendered, but I guess I would say that we would be trying to match, on both sides, especially if we're going with this design. It would be much easier to do. On the other designs, it's a lot harder. You're following roof lines and vertical.
This is trying to be like a gambrel profile, like treating the building as if it had a gambrel. And in this case, it would have a gambrel roof profile.
Well, I'm certainly glad you've given up on duplicating the dormers that were next door on, the end building, because they're very awkward.
Someday.
And I think your original plan was to duplicate them somehow. Anyways, I find 1A is very good on the front, and I think if you could darken up the penthouse, I'd appreciate that. And
It's great feedback. I
hope,
appreciate
hope for some detail on the back.
Praying to God.
Something.
We can get it. We can get it good. We
Will
can get it
stress, take the stress away from all of the blank clapboard wall space. That's-
Could we get feedback on, so one of I guess we'd have to go back to the level, Isaac.
Put another set of windows in there that don't do anything.
Say that again, sorry. Oh, okay.
On the back.
Put another window in, you said?
Yeah, 3 windows that are blank.
We got that.
Corey loves that.
The planter. Is that a
planter?
feature that, so on the back, we're, as part of the camouflage of this penthouse, we're trying to create different features that are on this type of,
Well, the planter could be part of the problem.
could be part of the problem.
Is that clapboarded? Is that?
No.
Oh.
The planter is.
That's a planter, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you were thinking that was the actual penthouse siding? Is that
No,
what
I
you were
wasn't.
thinking?
No, I
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
thinking that.
I
but I
mean,
was
we're not
thinking.
sure what the material
Is the planter also serving as a safety railing?
Yes.
in this case.
Yeah, and yeah, that could be stained, wood, vertical wood. That could be. I think I don't even know what that. Do you know what that material is supposed to be imitating right there? That image is
I was just
imitating.
thinking of it as a wood, like a stained wood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, we can darken that up. We can. That sort of stuff, I don't really have a preference on. That's more what you guys want to see, and we can absolutely make it happen.
Could that, on the back here, could this have like I call it a cheek roof that goes across, and is that something that,
Is that actually what's existing already? That's basic. I think we maybe just overlaid that because it's actually. I don't know, Isaac. Can you pull up the existing pictures from the last
this,
application?
that line right there?
Month that.
If it
That
were.
was going to be. Oh, I thought it was in our profile. But
There is a,
It
there
was
is a
going to
cornice
be.
there, like a
Yeah,
turn there now.
then if the windows were a little
Yeah,
bit
no,
bigger, that would,
It's just not showing in this, it's like washed out from there should be a shadow, like there's a scorbling.
yeah, you don't see it.
So the corner of what's that ice cream shop on Bow Street? The corner going down to the tugboats. Izzy's.
Yeah.
The Izzy's building is basically, I think, what you're talking about. I don't know if you like it or not, but
Yeah.
that's basically what I
Remember
think that
that,
this is
yeah.
going to end up being because that building looks like that was just built on top of the.
Well, certainly, that was Mr. McHenry.
Yes, it was. And those are tile brick rather than real brick on it.
Wait, are we in favor of this or are we not in favor of this building?
Well, on that building was really successful because
Oh, okay.
the rest of that street facade is all brick.
Mhm.
And so that really tied it in with the part of the building below. Here, we've got so many different things. We have brick, and the white painted brick, and the heavy trim. It's a little bit more, but that also was a standalone.
Yeah.
It's got, 360 degrees, but it's pretty much a standalone piece up there. There's also a long view of that where it sets by itself as you come down Penhallow Street, which is
Right.
how I view that mostly.
Yeah, no, it's a prominent.
And your thing here, part of the charm of this is the views of your building and the work that you're going to do on the roof of it are little vignettes that you
Yeah.
see in between things as you go down. But I, like Mr. Wyckoff, would like to see that eaves edge of the original building punched up a little bit. I think that would help in that separation.
Part of that is this is basically a photograph pasted.
Sure.
So I think if I model it.
Don't do that to
three-dimensionally,
us.
It'll show up a little bit.
Stop doing that.
I mean, I'm using that Portsmouth model.
In the June presentation, I don't have any images of the rear.
Oh, there aren't?
I don't know if those were maybe brought to us afterward at the meeting.
I could email you one right now if you want. I just wanted to show the gentleman that I'm bad with the language too. What's the eave? The existing eave is going to be a feature of that, and we will be right on to. So we're not doing away with that.
We're all on the same page.
Okay,
now.
cool, perfect. Okay.
I'm wondering if you can see this in Street View at all.
I have plenty of Isaac. I can send you one. I can pull it up real quick, but
Somebody's pulling it up right here.
do you have it?
Same. It might be easier to even show the photo that you have.
Here you go. I can. This is a little bit of an angle, but it shows most of it.
Yeah, somebody blurred out there.
Here we go.
Next door.
Yeah, they blurred it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's.
I don't know, Isaac.
Sure.
I'm sending it to you now if you want to pull it up on the.
I don't have email on this.
Oh, no worries. All good then.
It's blurred like
You can do that.
Do-
Somebody, you can request your property to blur it out.
Take it around.
nice.
You may get it back.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't switch to
So
stored
maybe it could
photos.
be,
We're not going to touch that. Is what
no,
I'm
but
saying.
maybe it could be painted differently, or, the,
Definitely needs to be picked out.
yeah, some
Yeah,
definite.
it'll be highlighted and not lost for sure.
This is one of my
And that's on the
least
front of the
favorite
building as well.
addition treatments. There's one across.
And the windows line up with each other in this photo as well.
Splits on Kittery around the green. They just stack
that's the-
this stuff on top of it. Just nightmare.
The fire escape, do we have any, I don't even know what the question is. The existing is like it's all, yeah, you can see it.
That's great.
Find it,
Yeah.
right around the blur.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I mean, we're going to obviously take that top portion out. We don't want to touch we're not touching the bottom portion of it. So that whole backside actually is sitting on two rotten ledgers right now. So that is going to come down to basically, it actually is probably right at the level of the eave, if I remember. It actually might be just at the bottom of the siding, actually. So we'll come right down to that, put two new plates on, and then go up to whatever height we're approved for. And so I don't know what the requirements are for that ladder, what we'd prefer to see, if we want like a
Just make it as simple as possible.
simple is better, okay.
I don't think that we're the ones to answer that.
Oh, okay. Is that
Fire
a fire?
department.
Oh, is it? Okay. I didn't know if that had anything to do with design, so
Well,
It's whatever is mandated by the fire department, but also
Okay.
we'll just, I think we would just say simplest design.
and defer.
if it's gone, great.
Or if it's gone.
If that's even required currently by the fire department, might be a question worth asking.
Yeah.
Is a fire ladder in the-
So if
You're gonna need two egresses. I don't know what.
Yeah.
from that level, yeah, I think it would.
Might
I
be
think it would be
the-
You
required.
always need two egresses.
Yeah.
But you do have two stairways in the building right now.
No, from that space though, I think he's talking about. So
Oh,
from
from
that
that
from that
roof-
specific
from the
space,
roof
you can
deck.
go down within the building, but then
Yeah.
so like part of this design on the back of the penthouse would be there'd be a door to the deck space, and that would go right to that ladder as the egress. So yeah, it would.
We've had to approve a lot of like windows that have to be used as the egress, because for the second egress.
You won't even be able to see it from the ground, but it'll be a full door. Yeah. Yeah.
So that fire escape is pretty much only for the roof deck.
The last question I had, I guess, is just I'm trying to listen to what you guys are talking about materials. When we present the materials, are you guys looking for the wood, the vinyl, is this a color preference? Because I don't have any preference on this. So instead of going back and forth, I'd love to hear whatever you guys prefer, and we'll just make it happen. I guess I don't know. If
You're
that's
talking about
okay,
the
but-
front or the back?
I guess both, but more the front, because I think that's what's going to be critiqued more. But we would probably be matching whatever we use for materials onto the back. I mean, I think
The fact that you're 40 feet in the air really helps,
Okay, great.
That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll try to hover higher for you when we go.
Yeah, would you please?
yeah, I mean, I personally wouldn't see a problem with using the PVC stuff or hardy all the way up there.
Okay.
Especially because it's much more exposed, you're right on the water, all of
Yeah.
those things, but also you can't get close enough to really see it, so.
Yeah, I don't know if you were here earlier. We were only really concerned with the front of one house because it was on a main sidewalk that's like known as a very historic street. So people are going to be able to touch it. But in your case, like the commissioner is way up. You can only get within one.
Okay.
Well,
stories of it. Low maintenance.
Hovercraft might
If
be
you
coming,
Yeah, with your
personal,
drone, you can
personal
fly somewhere next
hovercraft.
to it, right?
Change the flopiness of this. Right now, the clapboards and the way it's painted and just the way it appears now, it just becomes this big
No, it's
solid
very,
thing.
yeah.
So I think either
Simpler, yeah.
through changes in design, changes in the windows or the size of the windows, or the material that you actually choose to use here, you could use a very different material than just clapboards. You could use something quite interesting, actually.
Do you have any recommendations? Because I don't have any experience in this, so or what someone else is. I know maybe Nick has experience with it.
Try it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something.
You got
board
some.
and
You got an
batten
idea?
or
I would
Something
support something different.
Okay.
So for the limited amount of roof plane that is visible on the street, are you going to use simulated slate material?
We could do.
On the front, you're talking
seam.
about the. Yeah, we were just talking about what this is actually.
It's got a good scale to it. It keeps it from getting busy little team
Yeah.
horses. And it won't, everything's going to, it's all flashing there anyway, so I don't think it's going to cost you.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. So I think, if we're going Slater, I think it's going to be rubber above that, obviously, I would imagine. But the visible, we could easily probably do that,
Yeah, there's not much surface area there.
No.
on that slope.
I find it's visible when you come across the bridge.
Yes.
There it is.
Yeah, my friend used to live there, and she was always bragging about how at that first deck you could see you come in the court.
Wait, you knew the prior owner?
Yeah. I've lived. Yeah, I know everybody in town.
Okay.
No,
I never met her. I think she's a lovely lady.
yes. Very nice.
All right. Anything else that you need from us?
Do you think we got a good idea here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We'll make it work.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming back.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your feedback. Isaac, thanks as always.
Do you want to come back for another work session or?
We're going to
work
just
session,
do it.
Public hearing?
Yeah, we're going to probably do a full application and just
Okay.
go for it next
Okay,
time.
great.
So I don't know if we'll make the deadline, but I'm going to push him and we'll hopefully get it. So.
All right, fine.
Alrighty.
So, unless there's any comment from the public, anybody online?
Nope.
Okay. I guess I will ask for a motion to close the work session, the current work session.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Hi.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
So.
Okay.
Now where are we?
No, my agenda's up there. Do we
I
need?
don't have an
Thank you.
agenda.
Do we need, anybody need a break before we just have one more
The
work
last one.
session? Let's do it.
Well, let's
Okay.
just do this one
All
more.
right, work session, new business A, work session requested by Deborah S. Anthony Revocable Trust, owner for property located at 93 State Street. Wherein permission is requested to allow new construction to an existing structure, construct new rear addition, and renovations to the existing structure as per plans on file in the planning department. Said property is shown on Assessor Map 105 as Lot 20 and lies within the Character District 4 and Historic Districts.
Hello.
Good evening.
No. Seinfeld.
We had submitted, but we've made updates, so we have paper copies, but then we also just emailed it.
No, not yet.
But we can give you the
Trying
paper
to get
copy.
Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to pull up from email, so
Yeah.
you'll just have to work with the paper copies for now.
I was trying
So
to be easy for you.
I'll try to go through as best I can with the copy that I've got, and then you'll just
That
want
might be
to.
that's the one that you
No
have,
changes.
yeah.
Oh, boy.
Try not to touch the speaker.
They wake people up, you know?
So have you been in this place too? Did you have friends that live here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first birthday party there.
This is what's on the screen.
Well, I don't know if
Maybe it's not high enough. All right.
Oh, boy, toys.
Yeah, so the copy that you have has like some revisions on it, but it's by and part the same submission.
Well, that's good. I don't see 1,000 pages of details on Marvin Windows or something. Please don't flood us with,
You've seen that packet.
the whole packet of Marvin Windows copied.
I think the best thing to start, I'm Tim Giger from TMS Architects, is this kind of sheet, site plan sheet.
Okay.
We need one more.
You want your own copy? You want your own? You're good.
No, I don't have room to put it.
Well, just to
Okay.
reference, I think this is a good key to kind of start off on kind of like some of the bigger strokes that we're looking to do and kind of get guidance from you folks on how to best approach that. One is kind of looking at
Sorry,
stage.
before you start in on everything, can I have everybody introduce themselves?
Yeah, Dan Santacruz, TMS Architects.
Christina Johnson, TMS Architects.
Hi.
And Timothy Giger, TMS Architects.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for having us. So, there's a few things we're doing to this house. The Anthony's purchased it, and they're here in the audience, and they're looking to, renovate it and make it, their dream home, so to say, right? And there's certain things that we are trying to do to accommodate that and kind of get your feedback from that. Some of the bigger strokes that we're looking at is the existing patio on State Street. We're kind of proposing to keep that. There's a big tree at the corner that's kind of uprooting it and stuff like that. We're looking to redo that patio, use the same pavers that are there now, potentially raise it up about 6 to 8 inches to kind of get some soil above those roots. We have the ability to do that with the steps because there's a couple steps down, so it'll be more of kind of a flush patio walking out. But the intent would be pretty much to keep the same characters, raise it up a tad, with a couple steps on the outside of the fence there versus, stepping down from the house. The other things that we're looking to do is there's 3 existing chimneys in here. One of them is very curious. And it's kind of show you, this is the proposed, you have the existing.
It's over here.
Don't mean to interrupt, but I did actually just manage to get access to my email. So if you wanted to shoot that over, I could get that up in about a minute or two, and we can work with the packet on a nice large screen. So.
Wow. The curious chimney is this guy. And it's hard to see from the ground in the photos. I did show one. You can kind of see a little, we had a mason up on the roof who said, it basically needs to be rebuilt. So the intent would be to have the mason go up there, take down that chimney, and rebuild it as it is. Same height, same look, but rebuild it. The other chimney that we're talking about is this guy, which is, right, looking at the proposed, right? So here's State Street. Here is Chapel Street. There's an existing chimney on this side that you can kind of see. Tell me out there. There we go. That one we are proposing to remove. Yes, it's perfect. Thanks, Isaac. And this hasn't changed or anything. The reason why we're looking to remove that, we included the floor plans in here, is one, that chimney is actually in decent condition. I'm not going to fib and say it needs to come down for a life safety issue. But the massing on the inside of that by the kitchen, it's a great giant old chimney, but it's non-functional use right now. It's relying a lot of structural components tying into that. And it's just eating up a lot of floor space that's kind of would make this house more utilizable in a 21st century accommodation. My argument is, by removing, we're still keeping the main prominent chimneys. So looking from the corner of State Street and Chapel Street, you see this guy the most, and you can kind of see that in some of the existing photos that we have. Have existing photos somewhere?
They're on the window sheet. We don't have that one saved, but if you could go to the window sheet.
Go to the window.
Down.
Oh, sorry. These sheets here.
Yeah, those 3 photos.
Yeah, if you zoom into that little, you can kind of see the historical photos of it. So we're keeping those 2 chimneys that you see predominantly from State Street and Chapel Street.
The leftmost image.
Yeah, the leftmost image. This guy that you can see on the back side. There's. I won't touch the screen. I heard that.
You have to
You need to bring your
microphone
microphone.
with you, though.
We can't hear you over there.
That one.
How do you bring them?
It shouldn't be so difficult.
There's one on the.
Yeah. But, the argument is that these are the more prominent chimneys. We're keeping those. We're going to rebuild them and try and make them, historically accurate. Yes, we're losing one of them, but I feel it's kind of the back of the house one. And, it's kind of one of the arguments I guess I'm making to you folks to see your opinion on that. And, to me as an architect and, a conservator of, historical architecture, this is a push and a shove kind of a bit, right? Where yes, we want to preserve the architecture, but to do that, I feel you need to make these houses livable for the next, 150, 200 years. And to me, I thought that was a good trade-off. But
Have you considered, a faux chimney?
we could, and it
could.
comes down to the big ticket item, which we can't really talk about, but budget, right? It's is that worth kind of?
Come on.
Well, it is, but how do we support that? And it is something we could talk about if that was like.
Yeah, even if it was supported with the brick from the roof, you're still, having to have that build out in the middle of the room and, sustain that all the way down for the weight of it, because it's a substantial.
No, it would be made of brick veneer.
We're talking about a real faux roof.
Oh, so like a wood with a brick tile.
I mean, a faux chimney.
That would be a lot more economical and might be something that we would approach if that's kind of what the board was leaning towards, keeping that. To me, it's
We're all about the looks.
the looks more than kind of the historical factor of kind of the actual.
Everybody's got their
We
own
can't
opinions.
make you keep the fireplaces.
Yeah.
So it's not an issue of decisions that we're making, it's the practicality. We only have one purview, and that's from outside.
Yeah.
And so it lends itself pretty rapidly toward the faux solution to some problems, because that's our point of view.
Yeah.
We are here.
Just the outside.
And I hate saying this publicly, but we're here to practice a form of aesthetics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
That's what we
And
are.
so if you can match that aesthetic with a faux chimney,
Well, that's something we can talk with.
then that could provide your design with the relief that you're looking for. It's pretty simple. I would up the ante just a teeny bit and say I want the bishop's cap that heating contractor knocked off the other side, though.
He's planning to replace it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so that's something. It sounds like that would be kind of like a big milestone that we would need to hit for when we do for the school.
Yeah, and this is kind of like the big items that we really wanted to kind of get your opinion on, because we kind of went back and forth. There's a lot of moving parts. So, mainly like the removal of that chimney and then some of the brick in the backside are kind of like the big cost drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to the back, right? Well, I think we can go to the back, which is kind of, this addition off to the side. We have fence that's not really showing that great graphically on elevation. The backyard is pretty secluded as far as pedestrian walking by. I do feel that this addition kind of feels part of like an 1800s, what you would see in other, kind of, Crystal Palace type additions. And it's not uncommon to find that around town. Like, this is the Scataclub Bay, glass area. And there's other areas with like larger glass. And this one, I think, is more secluded and in the background. So even if someone did poke their head in the back, I feel it's within character of what you could find in the 1800s. We're proposing to kind of do with black, which looks cool, I think, a little biased, but it also helps, I think, blend it in with the shadow lines. We are kind of keeping a true SDL glass in there. We have some operable windows down below. The roofing and the trim details we'd be kind of keeping in character with kind of that Georgian revival kind of capital columns, Tuscan order. Keeping a simple metal roof on the backside. That we brought samples of. We were kind of thinking on a aluminum metal powder coated glass roof. But like I said, you guys have to.
You can see it a little bit better.
Standing seam?
Yeah. Kind of mimicking what you would see with like a zinc coated copper that you might have seen back in the day. Or lead coated is what they really use.
And you're putting a dormer above that, where the three windows are? That.
It's like a build out on that corner that you can see a little bit better in the rendering.
Well, it's just right below that. You can kind of see it.
It's looking at a dark hole.
I'm watching.
So this is, kind of go through the renderings real quick. This is that corner view, the existing chimney that we would leave. You would see a little bit probably of that one, but not much of it. It's not like one. Going along the side, so this is kind of that street view with parking areas. You have a fence there, and you see kind of the top of that glass structure.
How far is that coming beyond the gable end of the brick building?
2 feet.
2 feet. And that was one of the things we updated in the last.
Yes, it used to be right at the corner, and we pushed it off to give a little bit more relief in that dining area, so they could.
Well, and that piece of it, that piece of the 2 feet that we see, what is that going to look like?
That'll have the same like column wrapped trim.
Column wrap.
Yeah, so it would be like a Tuscan column on a corner, kind of wrap detail, gives a nice shadow line.
Some people would try to shove a window or something like that.
No window on the corner.
Just
For
thought I'd
privacy.
ask. We don't really know each other.
It would be very slender.
Yeah. I mean, it would look very common to kind of the detailing that you would see around that with like a porch sticking out. And that little relief, I think, is probably more realistic of what they would do because it gives you a chance to turn that roof and trim pediment and kind of execute it into the brick. Also counter flash along that a lot
That's
better.
nice. That's good.
But so that's that view. And then this is the view of the, the back addition. This is all existing. I think
Yeah,
this
so
dormer-
this is what we were saying
That's new.
is new.
Mm-hmm.
So this brick detail would be a full white brick veneer rather than thin brick that we would do on this wall here and then along this wall up to a certain point.
And we would mimic the same corbelling pattern up at the top and kind of carry that around. So, look like it was, an original dormer. And again, it's part of that stuff where, this was, the staff quarters, the servant quarters up there, and it wasn't very good livable space. And now we'll be able to give them the opportunity to utilize that as living space without, 4-foot ceilings and
What supports that? That dormer?
There's a wall that
Steel.
goes all the way
Oh,
down.
there is a wall there.
There is.
Yeah, there'll be a steel lintel or steel beam in there that supports it. And
Yeah.
Oh, on this side. There's a detail if you go up a little bit.
Oh, I was just wondering. Not really our purview. Structural.
No, I mean, the Pines did it right, in my opinion, of starting to build a team early. So we have a contractor on board, a structural engineer, and a mason, and looking at these details, piecing together. This is kind of the next step in the evolution to talk with you folks before we continue further.
When you do this extension, the dormer.
This right here?
Yes. Now, the eaves edge of that is in line with the tail of that tiny residual roof on the other side, the other gable.
This guy.
Yeah, that's all in line. It's just our perspective that shows them at different heights.
Yeah, I think what we were thinking is, yes, this plane would be the same as that gable end
Yeah,
plane.
so you'd
but
maintain
we
that
would
gable
Continue the trim rake down,
Yeah.
which would help hide the joint of the new and the old, but also kind of carry that visually.
So, what happens to the wall of the original building when you do that?
The one that,
The wall that's underneath that
existing
spot right
wall is
there.
like a little sliver down there. That
Yeah. The existing elevation is here. So that carriage house on the back kind of comes all the way this way. So we're kind of taking.
Is that wall already
this
missing, is
down.
what you're saying?
I think it's in there. That wall that you see a sliver of right here above the roof.
There is, yeah,
That
there's
goes
a wall.
down.
It's
On
a
the
brick, it's a
inside.
brick wall.
Yeah, it would still be in there.
And it's
I mean,
inside.
we would blow it
That,
open
yeah, that
for
would
like
maintain.
passages and stuff, but
Passages.
for inside the house, right, connecting the bedrooms to the hallway.
Doorways?
There's no doorways in that wall.
So
on
just
the other
carrying the whole thing
side.
out?
No, I mean, I think we're building around it because it's a structural
Yeah,
wall.
you
Well,
can
I would think so, is why I'm going there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they
Where do we
haven't
go next?
see it on the second floor.
They have like one hallway
It's the
through
side of the master suite.
the second floor.
Yes.
So right now, that's actually a good plan view
First
right
floor,
there,
yeah.
where, you know, the existing of this massing gets framed up into this wall, right? So that wall isn't really exposed on the outside, which you can kind of see this guy. That's that sliver, and this roof line kind of goes up into it. So what we're proposing is, you know, we would have a dormer that would continue this brick face out further, which is this guy, right? So now, rather than having this roof plane continue all the way through to this, we're now building a dormer out so that this can execute against that. It gives a nicer massing. It adjusts the massing so that we can get livable space and a hallway to kind
We sort of went back and forth on whether to match the carriage house or match the front house, and it seemed to make more sense to match the front house on the
More
top
headroom.
half. Yeah,
It's funny because the roof of the carriage house is so depressed
it's very short.
because of that spot. And now you're solving that problem, but not changing the carriage house.
That's true. I mean, but you could look at it, you know, from the street side. You know, it's a nice smaller hierarchy that you're building with this smaller clapboard.
It's always
to this
been
prominent
good.
brick, right? And this was, you know, at one point probably the carriage house barn. That was like an ad hoc, you know, 20, 30 years after this was probably built, I'm guessing. Right? And so I would argue against, I get what you're saying about, you know, you have the opportunity to raise this up and create square footage up in there. But to me, on that street side, it would be a missed opportunity of kind of leaving that hierarchy the way it is.
And I want to say, I just appreciate you leaving that raking eave line there just as a memory of what the original house was. So,
Yeah, I think it's shown on the elevation.
Kudos to you.
Are you keeping the carriage house end wall right up on the, smack on the fence on the property line?
We are. We're
Yeah,
proposing on removing those windows, and we got to do, depending on what you guys.
That whole wall's rock.
Yeah. We're kind of looking at that now with structural engineering. But the other thing we got to look at next is kind of the code review issues of that, and you know,
You were there
it's
first.
5 feet of the property line. Looking at the amount of glass in that versus the UL listing of that wall, which is things we will do and will get taken care of during the building permit process. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of little cans of worms we're finding as you get in any of these old projects.
And your intent to keep the theme of the fence that's there now?
That
I
fence
see
will
you're doing some
remain.
work on it right at the
Yeah,
moment.
so the fence that's on the side of the bulkhead, like the kitchen end here, that will get taken down during construction to do the construction and get put back up. And we'll add a gate at the bulkhead so we can make the bulkhead a little bit deeper because that's now the only access to the basement.
That's not how we get to the wine cellar, is it?
No, there's a stair.
There's, you know, you bring up a good point though, and it might be a little segue as far as like what you guys approve or want to see, but we want to hear your opinions, or if you don't have an opinion, is, you know, like that fence. We're planning on taking it down for construction, but, you know, putting it back up. I don't know if that's an issue from the HDC standpoint. One of the other ones that, you know, we wanted to bring up is on.
Depends on if you, propose a vinyl fence or something. And
Yeah, no, I mean,
Then
I
you'll
think-
find our attitude changes dramatically.
We were gonna salvage that, and, you know, if we had to replace it, we would, but, you know, with like the same materials and stuff. I'm trying to find where we're taking the brick off.
It's in front of the elevation.
This guy?
No, it's this one. But then that's what the detail was on A400.
You can go to
Yeah.
that, Isaac.
Oh, no.
You know how to get in there?
It goes from A201 to A5.
It's in the printed copy.
Okay.
Kind of multimedia event here.
Okay, it is in the printed copy. So the printed copy shows the image of the window as it exists on the second floor, and then it has the elevation section showing the wall of brick kind of in question to be able to do
What
the
that's showing,
elevation.
looking at this, right, is you're looking kind of like at a section of this wall, right? And there's that window. And the issue came out because we're trying to, blow out that wall on the inside to kind of open up that kitchen space and utilize this addition. We'd like to propose, taking down the brick at this area so that we don't have to figure out a way to temporarily support all that weight to kind of get the framing in there. But once we get a beam in there and work it, utilize that same brick to, rebuild it as it was in that location. And when I say get rid of it, it might be more of like a big archway or something up to that corbel. Obviously, we'll try to leave the corbel, but even if we do take the corbel, the point would be that we would remake that as it is. The mason we have for the project, actually a really talented fellow. We used him on one of our projects on Chapel, right? What was that, man?
129.
Yeah, Chapel. And, he was actually able to utilize a lot of crappy brick that was done in the back of house, part of the chimney. And, actually, I thought it was going to be junk with all the mortar because, they're not using the face thing.
Right.
He cleaned it up really well, and we were able to use it on the exterior. So I have a lot of confidence in him that he has the skill set to kind of do this. And, I know there was some concern earlier with, say you can take it down and rebuild it, but do they have the skill set to rebuild it with the proper way? And I think the contractor and this mason have the ability to do that. I know it's just my word, but have at it.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to get in a situation where you can't go back and you can't do what you said you're going to, you know what I mean? So we try to avoid
and I think
those.
that comes down to too, when, you kind of look at the proposed, right, you get it approved at some point, and then, when, I don't know if it's Isaac or whoever's out there kind of looking at, was this actually done the way it was done, kind of thing, and that's what I'm held to. And I have all the confidence to say that, yeah, we could, if it helps eliminate having to figure out a way to temporarily.
This was the other project we had done with
Oh,
the
yeah.
same
That corner.
contractor.
Yep.
You put the elevator on it.
Yeah, and so that whole back alley addition was taken from old brick on the
this
inside that was really.
was new, and
Yeah.
this is existing. So.
That was a great project. It turned out really well.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other questions? Do you have any other questions for us? I mean, there's lots to
The
talk
only
about.
other question would be like this siding they were proposing using.
Yeah, boral siding, that's not on the front of the carriage house, is it?
It would be. So we're proposing using the boral that's been milled down to the same, dimensions and size as a wood clapboard.
Is it face nailed?
We would face nail it.
Something.
Stainless.
Can you set the nails in it? I've never used it. I have no experience with it. Can you sink the head?
I don't think you can.
You might
You
be
can.
able to. It's not like hardy board where
No, where
you
it
can't
splits.
sink it.
It's a killer. I mean, you
A
understand
hardy
there's some killers in this whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we don't want to see nail heads, but setting on the surface just looks
No,
like
it's.
we tried.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the product. You can pass it around. It's a new engineered product. It's made out of fly ash. Where they, right? It's kind of all this
fly ash.
all this
We
stuff,
have
and
all
they
those
wash it as
fires,
green.
we
But
need to do something with the byproduct.
yeah, one of the things that
Boy, it's sharp
architect
edge.
I like about
Right?
it is its fire class rating for that side with the thing. Right? I'd agree. Like a mahogany clapboard would be really nice, but
Yeah,
that's
it's not traditional too.
Yeah, and
This seems more millable.
it is. It works like wood. It's better, actually. People, the mill workers and contractors like it better than the AZEK. Because I don't know if anyone's any familiar. That stuff stinks. It's gross. It gunks up your blades.
Bendy.
This isn't wood,
Yeah.
but it works a little bit more like wood.
It's heavy and it breaks.
AZAC makes such a mess.
Yes.
Pick it up and it's
You
bows.
know, and the sawdust from the AZAC, becomes
Yeah, it's like statically charged. all over.
statically charged, it gets all over you, can't get it off.
It's good stuff.
And then if it's windy, it blows down the street, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
Nothing at all to do with what we're doing here, but it's a point of interest. The Boral is back in business because it came at us and then fell right away, and I assume that they went out of business.
So
No.
the company now is called True Exterior, but this is a different company that will take the boral and they'll mill it down to the profile. So
Interesting.
they've done it as kind of like a second hand.
So the boral is the material.
Mm-hmm.
The marketing geniuses on this one, but yeah, I think the company's called Boral. Then another company bought them and renamed it to something, and then decided, hey, no one's using this because they don't know what it is or what to call it, so they named it back to Boral.
We had a pitch one time, I don't know now, 4 or 5 years ago, and we were told it was going to be the material of the future.
Says the sales guy.
Well, and then it just
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
And then it just disappeared. You can probably tell we're looking for some sort of public synthetic material because our wood siding is not lasting
Well,
hundreds
it's
of
funny
years
you mention
anymore.
that because one of these products, I don't know if you guys have heard of Acre. It's another of these engineering products, but it's made out of rice, actually. Same kind of process, right? They use different compounds and smush them all together and make them formed. This stuff is competing against AZEK a lot more as a millable product because again, the mill workers like it. It's not as statically charged, and it works better, similar to Boral. They both have their advantages and disadvantages. This one has a big expansion rate, less than AZEK and PVC, but the PVC is a really big expansion contractor. I don't know how familiar you are with, like, you make these historic joints. And if I were you guys, I'd be careful when people are talking about like that one project. You can mill, and we've used mill workers that make really good stuff with AZEK. The problem is that expansion and contraction, and when you start using these small, aperture profiles and you get them wrapping around corners, and they're going to start splitting and coming apart, and they're not going to rot, but they're going to look like crap.
We're familiar with wood changing shape in its width dimension, but
Not in its length.
Other materials are changing universally.
It is, and it's a constant challenge, and I don't think we're going to find the
And
solution
so
here
this
tonight, but
this material that you're looking at has a dimensional problem in every direction also?
It's better than AZEK, but it still moves quite a bit, I guess is a way to say that, right? The nice thing about AZEK is that it holds paint really well. When it's painted, you can't really tell that it's, not wood.
Yeah, and
this
this
is
can
a
be
similar
stained.
material. Yeah, and that's the other thing. This one can be stained, unlike AZEK.
So are you proposing to use this anywhere?
We were contemplating
So
using
we
it.
don't use Boral in the corner boards. This was like another alternative. We didn't know how you felt about this because it wasn't cited anywhere.
I think our preference would be, and you correct me if I'm wrong, would be use the Boral for the trim and the corner boards and the Boral siding. But depending on what your preference was against Boral, that would be another alternative to use for the
Have a
corner
bite?
boards and trim.
You're saying this is for the carriage house?
Yes.
Which is set back X amount because of the patio?
Yes, with the fence in front of it.
The window trim on the main house would be wood.
Yep.
All right. So,
Go ahead.
well, this is not related to architecture at all, but you're talking about the patio and the tree. And you're going to raise the patio.
So it's suspected that the tree's roots are what pushing up all of those brick pavers. So tentatively, because we can't cut down the tree and we can't, inadvertently kill the tree, is to raise up
Accidentally.
part of that patio so that we can accommodate the roots but keep the usability of the patio.
So talk with an arborist, because depending on the variety of tree, it will raise its roots
Okay.
because it needs to be a certain height, depth, and so you put more on it, it's just going to keep trying to seek the top. So talk to an arborist. What you may want to do instead is weave around
Okay.
the existing roots, and then they'll just stay where they are because you're leaving them exposed the way they want to be. You know, people who put the landscapers who put more mulch under the tree,
yes, and
you
they
end
just
up with
keep
this
coming
thing,
out.
right? So the roots come up and they wrap around the tree and they kill the tree.
Yeah, I think that could work.
Wow, that is
Killing the
interesting.
tree.
Yeah.
Wow.
These landscapers, they're supposed to know this sort of stuff, but they actually kill the tree by putting more and more mulch. What they're supposed to do is pull the old mulch away, and put a thin layer back so that they're not smothering the roots. So that's just talk to somebody about
So I guess to answer that original question, we are thinking Boral siding and Boral trim around the outside.
Yeah.
I brought that as an alternative material, but that's our preference unless you guys have other direction you want us to take it in.
You know, as long as it paints well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the.
All right, well, this is a lot of information. Are there any other reactions to the rear addition in general? Any of the sort of like the big view things that are happening here? Because we're getting quickly into all these little bitty details. So I want to make sure that everybody's like,
Yeah, I feel like the story, you can still, that's always important to us, you can still see the original roof plane on the brick building, which is the real historic structure. And then the carriage house was, I don't know what year that was added, but
early.
it was early. And then this being in the back where you really, you know what I mean, it's not very visible. I understand it will be visible on Chapel Street, is it?
Barely.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah,
Just
there's
a
that
little
one
bit.
view that kind of shows it.
You really have to like be putting your chin on the fence there.
Yeah, the people in that building can see the top of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it, I always think of, pedestrians walking the sidewalk and like what they can touch on that sidewalk. And it's not necessarily, if someone's peeking behind the cars there's other issues at hand.
No, I mean,
the direction.
I'm happy with this general design right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Sidewalk's precious.
Yeah.
Anything, Dan? Any?
No, I think it's got some good potential. Yep.
We're filling in some of the low windows, like at the foundation, because on the inside, that's where the beams come across, so there's no good way to kind of manage that in the, reconstruction part. So we're filling them in with granite, and then brick is getting infilled at the second bulkhead.
How do you
that
get
we're
ventilation in the
abandoning.
basement then?
We're gonna do an air system that will allow for fresh
Of
air.
course. Yeah.
Where's your AC farm going to be going?
We're thinking kind of it's existing here,
Yeah,
right?
so most of it's there, and then we'll need one unit in the far left corner. Yeah.
Behind the covered porch area. Yeah, but, out of view behind the fence. Although it does bring up a good thing I want to get your opinion on is the bulkhead that we're looking to replace. I don't know if you saw it in the material there. We'd like to propose a kind of a cleaner, more maintenance-free metal one that, is a little bit nicer and it has, synthetic bead grooves on it, but it is metal and it's hidden behind the fence. And it would help keep rodents out and stuff, so. I don't know if there's any issues with that.
No issue with it.
It's not visible.
Downtown.
We have no real early examples of anything like that. And so it leaves us with, the metal ones, which also don't last. They're more temporary than some of our positions here.
Yeah.
Well said.
I had a couple of questions here. I'm also in support of the rear addition. I think it's very classy for the back of this particular building. It's not super visible. It's something that is not going to totally stand out and scream that it's, I don't know, be very distracting. I know we have no purview on the interior, as Mr. Adams has said to us, but I sometimes wish you would not give us the demolition plans, because these were horrifying to me, to be honest, because I don't know what the interior of this house looks like. I don't know how well preserved it is on the interior, but you're taking it all out. So it's not really a historic house anymore at this point. It's got historic exterior walls, and brick, but it's not going to be a historic house anymore.
Well, look at the Carnan house.
I know this is happening. This is happening all over.
Yeah, I would say that the
Portsmouth.
other project we had done on Chapel Street had a similar stage where a lot of it had been removed. But I think as much as we can, we'd like to bring back some of the character, on
Sure,
the
and again, this is not our purview.
Yeah.
I just have to say personally that as a preservationist, just hard to see this happening to all of our houses in the South End, or really all over Portsmouth, that we don't have actual historic houses anymore.
I
But-
spoke to a previous owner of the building 3 days ago, and he was weeping.
Weeping.
So I'll just throw that out there, that that's hard for some of us to take. But I did, you were saying that one of the chimneys is staying, but it looks like this,
Two of them there's three of them. We were
Right.
proposing two of them to
Sorry.
stay, but it sounds like you guys would like to have three of them. One of them we built. So
the one,
Yeah, the other one's getting rebuilt as well.
the one on the east side, I'm just noticing in the demolition plans that you're taking out the fireplace on the second floor.
Is getting rebuilt, so
Right.
that would be what we would do. at
So
the one that,
on the east side, so on the other side, nope. So just the other, no, the chimney on the east side that is abutting the carriage house. So I just am wondering how it's held up structurally, because it looks like you're removing the fireplace on the second floor. So that was just caught my eye as like, oh, wait.
Is that a good mason?
yeah. No, I think the plan is we would have to keep, a portion of that.
Okay.
yeah, the fireboxes are built out from the flue. It's really just the flue inside
Right.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because that fireplace was removed after we submitted. If there was a decision to remove it after. I think that's what happened. And then the final question, because we had moved the bed to the side.
So that was just a, again, structural thing, just as long as it's staying and we can still see it on the outside. That's really all that. Okay.
Yeah, so the final question for the board is, there are two locations where there are windows that are currently double high, but they don't meet like any egress requirements because of the area of the window. So at two locations, we were proposing to do a casement window with the bar,
Yeah.
simulated bar,
You wanna show that?
and if that's all right.
Right here.
I mean, we often see those
Yeah, we see
because
that.
because it has to meet code.
If you could think about Green Mountain windows, for instance, their egress window is virtually, you can't tell that it's an egress,
Okay.
It's done so well, as of, opposed, some manufacturers just put a heavy bar in there and make it, but this is actually divided, so that it has the two planes and steps back. It's really amazing. Just a thought.
Yeah, the type of window we're using is LePage. I know Marvin has just like the stick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, LePage is also good.
Better.
Yeah. Okay, great. Any other questions or comments, ideas? You guys have everything you need so far?
I think so.
Okay, great.
Gutter material.
All right.
Go to it.
Even ask about that gutter material. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking that the gutters we're going to replace. They're wood now, rotting and falling apart. We want to replace them with true copper gutters,
Right.
copper downspouts.
Browns.
K-style is what we were thinking.
Oh, Christ.
Well, we could look at doing half rounds if that's what the board prefers.
The board doesn't so much prefer, it just seems like you're trying to move the bar some. It just,
Yeah.
why make it look even,
K-styles are
Not a
hold
fan.
more water.
That mimicked kind of what was there with the wood was the thinking. I think.
Yeah, I think, the idea is to do like a profiled copper, step up from just a normal case style. So.
Okay, I didn't get that.
All right.
That's all right.
you need votes.
Yeah.
Anything else? No? Anyone from the public who wants to speak to this? The owners? Okay. All right, great. Well then, do you want another work session, or are you going to come back for?
I think we come back for the.
Okay, great. So then, we just need a motion to close the
So moved.
Second.
work session. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Anytime.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else to say. Anybody want to give me a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Favor?
Yes. Aye.